we can do whatever we want. It's our podcast.
Yeah.
I just labeled it as like the E3 podcast.
Time.
No, we don't have to.
Okay.
I mean, the infrequency of our podcast just kind of dictates that
It's
if
gonna be a long
if
one.
we
Yeah.
go for 2 hours, it's fine. If we go for 1 hour, it's totally fine.
Oh, we're actually streaming.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why not?
Cool.
Oh boy!
Yeah. Hi.
All right,
Hello.
everybody.
We're supposed to be streaming tonight.
I told Eugene to take the night
Oh,
off.
okay.
Don't worry.
So
I
it's like, he's
I
gonna
did
get-
your part.
It's gonna
and,
be a little weird.
You know, you're out of compliance and didn't tell him he's.
Mhm.
I'm just kidding.
So,
I didn't know we were streaming.
all right, welcome everybody
Yeah.
to the MetaVillains Podcast.
Hi,
Today-
we're doing a podcast again.
Yay.
Yeah, we're back on this fucking rough train.
So we are Chris, Dan, and Jared. We are going to be talking about the 3 E's.
Yeah.
All 3 of the E's.
Quickly, boys. What are the E3s?
Electronic
Entertainment
Entertainment
Expo.
Oh God, I'm so proud of you guys.
I mean, I've been watching it.
You'd be
since-
surprised how many people like don't know what E3 means.
Yeah.
I've been watching it
Mine-
since before it was E3.
Yeah, my dad
So-
knows what it means.
When it was just an
He
electronic
actually
expo.
calls it
Yeah.
the Electronic Entertainment Expo. He doesn't call it E3.
He calls it
He's
the
like,
Expo.
have you been watching the Expo? And I'm like, what? He's like, the Expo.
You know,
Because we went
you
he took me to Costco the other night.
The defunct,
And I was like,
Montreal baseball
what?
team, the Expos.
The Expos.
You
He
been
was
watching
like,
them?
yeah, the Game Expo. And I'm like, what? And he's like, as you idiots call it E3. And I'm like, oh, yeah.
Yeah,
As
the
you
the
idiots.
Expo.
Yeah. He's like, let me know when they re-announce Baldur's Gate again.
Well, we've got lots of things to discuss. Basically, we're going to go in order as the conference happened. We're going to talk about what were our favorite things and what was important to us. And then we're also going to discuss what was so unimportant to us that we feel like it bears mentioning.
Yes.
So I'll be acting kind of as moderator tonight, I think, because
you?
I have some opinions, but
I don't know. I'm more afraid of your opinions than
I'm-
Chris is.
I'm
I've got
famously
pages, man. I've got like 5 pages.
Oh,
of
really? You have
opinions.
5 pages?
Yeah.
I'm famously the guy who does not play video games. I finally installed God of War.
I gave that to you like 2 weeks ago.
Between Crit Fit and work and also Crit Fit and the third branch of Crit Fit, I am devoid of time. So
Sure.
I'm really enjoying it so far.
That's good.
But that will let's go ahead and get started with
Sure.
Electronic Arts.
Jared, I'll let you start, buddy.
So I have out of all the conferences that I have written down on my sheet of paper, there are 7 that I have notes from. I didn't see every single one in enough detail. EA was one of those ones that I gave up on, but I saw enough of. I graded them in letter grade from I guess objectively first to last.
Sure.
EA comes in last. I gave them an E.
Absolutely.
An E for EA.
E for A.
E for fucking EA.
EA Sports.
Yep.
It's in the ass.
They had a super awkward conference. I like FIFA, and even me. If you ever announce FIFA, that means that you should kill yourself and probably burn down your corporation. You should
right.
dissolve your business because you don't know what the fuck you're doing with it. People who like FIFA will play FIFA. They will buy FIFA. They don't need you to announce FIFA. It comes out every
You were
fucking
born
year.
a FIFA.
Right.
You will die
Like,
a FIFA.
It's so
And only your FIFAs will
dumb.
mourn you.
And only your microtransactions will mourn you.
Oh my
Jesus.
god, that fucking game. Like, it's fine.
Yeah, I know.
like
I'm mad
it.
about it
I
too.
like soccer, but don't make that even a remote cornerstone of what you have fucking going on. And the fact that they were waiting for people to applaud. It wasn't even awkward. I'm just I watched it and I was like, you deserve this.
It was so bad. When I watched the Donkey video talk
Yeah,
about it, and
that was pretty
funny.
the
I thought
epic
they cut the
silence that
audio.
happens when it's just like, all right, FIFA 19's coming. We got the UFEA or whatever extra soccer they got,
So
the UEFA
dumb.
in there,
Yeah.
and no one did anything. And they're like, I was like,
Okay.
this has to be edited. No, that's real.
That
Yeah.
that was a trend that
was a
especially
fucking
in
tragedy.
We'll get to Bethesda, but that happened a lot with them too. This was
Yeah.
CringeCon 2018.
It really
where they were
was.
just like,
Yeah, that you kind of hit that on the head. CringeCon 2018.
Like,
when there was a lot of parts, like we'll get to it as we get to
Yeah.
it, but there was a lot of parts that should not have been like receptive, like silently. Like there was a lot
Yeah.
of cool shit that happened, but anyway.
I think
Game journalists are like, we don't care about these. Talk about the microtransactions.
okay, and I think that they deserve to talk about that. I think that, I mean, EA doesn't owe anybody anything, admittedly.
Fine.
And I'll kind of try to leave it at that. But I really feel like the journalists that are there really want to discuss the elephant that's in the room, and EA kind of gave it to them, but not. I think they really should have opened up with the announcement. Hey, look, guys, we have a bunch of stuff in development. We're going to talk about a lot of different stuff, but we want to start with one critical piece, then address it and just say, all of the games that we're going to show you today, with exception of our esports division, we will be attempting to remove microtransactions via the way of loot boxes and season passes. Cool. And they could have said that, and people would have been like, okay, all right.
Yeah.
They should, but they'll never get a round of applause for that because they're literally answering to the press. They're doing what our president refuses to do.
Right. And that was kind of the misleading thing about EA's conference, which I'm in agreement with you. I thought EA's was just like unabashedly the worst when it could have been at least okay if certain things were done better. But they talked about Star Wars Battlefront. They were like, all right, no more loot boxes, no more like season passes or microtransactions in that sense. It's all cosmetic. We're going back to like the basics of microtransactions when they first started.
Right.
And the same thing with Battlefield 5. They're like, this is our big marquee title at the end of the year. No season pass, no loot boxes. They'll circumvent it with cosmetic shit. Fine, whatever. And then crickets when it comes to shit like FIFA and Madden and NHL. Those are the games that make them the most money in microtransactions. They make like the most fucking, like they made $1.3 billion alone just on like FIFA microtransactions to buy those stupid like essentially hut cards or like whatever they're fucking called.
My big thing is why even bring EA Sports to E3? It doesn't.
When
it's
it's a yearly thing.
It is a niche thing.
All you have to say is
exactly.
like, there's a new FIFA, there's a new Madden, there's probably a new NHL, there's a new basketball.
Like at this point, how I view it is
let me know when there's a year that you're not going to do one because you want to rebuild it.
Sports games are MMOs. Every year, you buy the newest expansion. And then, if you want new cleats or some cool stuff in that expansion, you take out your wallet and you spend some more ducats on it, just like we do in WoW. Oh, I want this new spectral mount that came out. Cool, I'll buy that.
$20, please.
Yeah. I bought this expansion for $40 to, push the length of this trend I've been doing for the last 10 years. Like, to me, there's almost no difference in the model, at least. So just, and call it like I see it, I guess. I wish EA would too. I
agree with you. It felt more like that the CEO of EA should have been the one coming out and saying like, hey, we're not doing this, bullshit microtransaction stuff anymore, or at least like the more intrusive versions of microtransactions.
There was also no falling on the sword, which I'm a huge fan of. Like, if you fuck up, own your fuck ups, state it. Don't.
I'm gonna start blowing down,
please.
I really wish that they had kind of come through and basically addressed the elephant in the room as the elephant in the room instead of trying to give themselves a fucking pat on the back.
Look at us, we're a great
look
company.
at us, we're doing cool stuff. No, you're doing exactly what the market has told you. If you don't start doing it, you will start fucking it up for yourself. That's exactly what you're doing. Don't pretend like it's anything else other than capitalism at work.
Mm-hmm.
And for them to try to jack themselves off on stage was, for me, intolerable. Not to mention the fucking presentation on their new hot garbage fire series, Mass Effect Andromeda 2.0.
Now with mechs.
Now with glidey boys.
Man, you want to talk about a game that I had some sort of anticipation for? I was like, all right, here's EA's like opportunity to show like this is their next big game. BioWare's kind of been in the shitter
Yeah.
for the past like 5-6 years at this point. Like even their good games still got shit on, like Mass Effect 3. And that presentation was just bad because we learned really nothing of the game. And
Yeah.
then the gameplay just looked utterly boring.
For me,
It just looks so boring.
I know there's probably a lot of strong opinion about it, but for the last 6 months, I've been saying I'm not excited for this title. I don't think it's going to be a great title. BioWare has to prove it to me, not tease me with it. Right?
It's no longer like, oh, BioWare's making a game. Cool.
Right.
I'm in.
They don't get that free pass anymore, and it's honestly it's because of Andromeda. It doesn't matter if you hire another studio and you push the work to them. They are your branding. They are your name. They are you. And if you fuck it up, you have to own the mistake. The fact that they blame that on another studio instead of being like, hey, our leadership fucked up and these guys are paying the price.
Man, I keep going back to Iwata. It's just like where Iwata's like, "Yep, the Wii U was not good. I'm taking a pay cut. We're gonna right the ship.
Well,
it's my fault. It's upper leadership's fault."
Can we talk about one of my notes for that real quick? I mean, I'll reiterate again. One of the notes I have for Nintendo's is Reggie for president, because that man fucking conducts himself so well, and like it doesn't matter. We'll get to it.
Hold on,
we got a long way to go.
let's unpack the chat real quick. Best
Yeah.
looking celebrity Ryan Reynolds.
If we're talking male, sure, absolutely.
Bar none. Server Assassin. Andromeda was awesome. IMO. I hate
You're
to tell
totally
you,
entitled to your opinion
But
as a gamer.
it's okay to
But
be wrong.
I'm going to let you know
I
that
would
I
probably-
uninstalled that game after 20 hours.
I would probably like
gave
it too
that game 20 hours.
if I enjoyed really bad garbage fire games. I could see how you would like it. I agree with you.
Trying to be like civil about it and be like, it's
No.
okay, you're allowed
No.
to like what you like, but objectively, after coming from the
I'm just
Mass
gonna-
Effect trilogy,
Yeah.
that game comparatively is not as good. It's objectively not as good.
It's terrible. Dan said, "Let's unpack the trash." I mean, chat. So that's what I did.
Okay, so
And
speaking
everyone's
of,
gone.
Speaking of trash, let's talk about Fallen Jedi.
Oh man, so I have a mixed bag about it because Respawn has like continuously always put out good products, and it goes back to that conversation of like, oh, BioWare's making a game, I'm looking forward to it, and I really shouldn't do that with Respawn considering they are now officially owned by EA,
That's my problem.
and all they did was announce the game was that they're making something,
Right.
but they did it in such a nonchalant. Like the interview was literally like the host in the crowd with like a microphone talking like we're buddy next to each other in the audience. Like, so Respawn, like, what do you got going on? It's, oh yeah, we're making a Star Wars game. It's about in between 3 and 4.
So-
Whatever. It's no big deal.
I immediately
Stop.
throw all that out the window because they did announce Star Wars 1313 and showed off supposed gameplay of it. I think they proved that it wasn't real gameplay. It was scripted.
Sure.
But
I
it
mean,
was still
like
in-game.
something
It was still
something
in-game
was
scripted.
made to
Yes,
show.
Exactly. So that's I immediately am will give you 0 points and in fact give you negative points if you even talk about something without being able to deliver on it or go into depth on it. Like if you can't explain even the concept of it, I don't want to hear it. But if you even a teaser is garbage. If you cannot conceptualize and explain that to me, don't fucking show up to EA with it because it makes your presentation worse for me. That's my thing.
We'll get to it in later conferences.
Sure,
I'm
we
okay.
absolutely
I'm
will.
okay with companies coming out and saying, "Don't worry, guys, we have this down the pipeline."
Right.
As we'll talk about later.
I'm okay with that being a footnote.
But exactly,
Don't jack
it just
yourself
needs
off.
It just needs to be like,
Yeah.
here's a short trailer. Here's something to show you. Just
Right.
like, hey, we listen. We heard you. You want this. We're making it. It's a ways off, but it's happening.
And for me,
that's
I
fine.
also I need if you are going to do that, I'm cool with you just being like, of course we're going to do it, because it's kind of like with Elder Scrolls. Did anybody in the whole world think that they weren't going to create another Elder Scrolls title?
Yep.
Okay, so announcing it is, I deducted a lot of points from Bethesda just for announcing it, because if you're not going to say what it is, which is fine, you should tease us, keep it in your back pocket for another E3, but don't grandstand it. Don't treat it like it's something other than it's not. We all know you make fucking money off this. Like, this is your business model.
Sure.
Don't treat me like a fucking buffoon.
A Bethesda buffoon.
Let's get to Bethesda.
But that's,
we'll
that
get
was
there
my
in a
take
minute. I still got some more
on
EA
Star
stuff.
Wars being announced.
Yeah, it's
Is that it's not really
cool
announced.
that you're giving Respawn
Yeah.
like the ability to make, like, if you own the Star Wars like licensing, you need to be doing more than just doing Battlefront every 2 years.
I agree.
Like, Battlefront's cool and all. Like, microtransactions aside, they're still fun games at its core. It's just you have opportunities to tell interesting stories and
Yeah.
to do interesting things with it, and you're not. You're literally sitting on a pile of gold and doing nothing with it, and just expecting that these lazy yearly or bi-yearly exports of Battlefront or whatever multiplayer game fad that's going on and microtransactions on top of it are just going to ride you into the sunset. Like,
Right.
do something. Do
I
something
agree.
with it.
Let's. I think we've given EA more time than they're worth. So let's
Sure.
let's close them out.
The only thing I really have for them other than that is Battlefield 5. I am excited in the direction that they're taking it. They're going to a relatively okay, so a lot of people took their comments the wrong way. I'll step in to defend EA here. Somebody was like, "Hey, we're going to tell our story of what happened in this part of the world." And a lot of people were like, "You can't rewrite history." Like, they're not rewriting history. They're literally telling the history that happened there. The war was not just America versus Germany. Fuck yeah. Like, there were it's called a world war for a fucking reason. Like, take a step back and acknowledge the fact that the Finnish were at war with the Russians for fucking years before World War II even got kicked off. Like, acknowledge
even
that
World War
every
I.
fucking country there was in the shit except for Denmark and Switzerland, and I think Portugal. I think was neutral.
got going on anyway?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
They're a footnote on Spain's ass.
And
Yeah.
the argument that I would add to that is, when has Battlefield ever been like historically accurate to a T?
Exactly. So for
Ultimately,
me,
these are video games, which you have
Right.
It's a
hundreds
video
of
game.
people working on it. Let them live up to their own interpretation of what, because if you're going to balance that, you have to balance realism with playability.
and they did a good job with Battlefield 1. I'm excited to see them take it up to the next generation and the next theater of war, and see what they really do with the newer engines. With DICE is consistently getting better and better at the products that they put out. And they have a lot more freedoms, I think, now with the Battlefield series than they do with their Star Wars stuff that they work on. So I'm personally, I think that that Battlefield is going to be pretty tits.
Your closing thoughts, Christopher?
EA has a lot of work to do to build the trust back with like the core game. I hate using that term, the core gaming audience, but it's kind of true. They're going to continuously sell millions of copies of all of their big games like Battlefield and Battlefront year to year,
And FIFA.
and FIFA and
And
Madden.
Madden.
They're going to sell because they always sell, and people want to play them regardless of what kind of bullshit's attached to them. But they have a job to do, and they didn't really do it to sort of start winning back the trust of the bigger audience. So yeah, it was pretty bad. They had an opportunity with Anthem to do something interesting, but that looked boring. The only game that I saw from their presentation that actually looked interesting was Sea of Solitude, which is like a small indie title, kind of like Unravel, that just pops up out of nowhere with a small development team that is really passionate about an idea, and you can see its creativity. Like, I'll be interested in that whenever we get better looks at it.
Absolutely. Let's see. Microsoft. I think we can introduce this one and sum it up in the words world premiere.
Exclusive.
I really don't like Microsoft, and I don't like a lot of what they did, but I'm giving them the largest amount of kudos this year for what they did and how they did it.
I
think
have them down as based on presentation. They have the best presentation.
I wrote them down as an A.
I was a fan of Microsoft's presentation. Let's unpack these, I guess. Shadow of the Tomb Raider.
Not interested. Didn't care.
The last two Tomb Raider games were pretty great. It's kind of one of the. It's another one of those games. Like, yes, I know it's coming, and yes, I will eventually play it. You don't really need to show me anything because it doesn't seem like you're really. You're not innovating anymore. You're iterating at this point. Like you've rebooted it successfully, and you're proving now that you can continuously like make improvements on it. There's not for me personally. There's nothing you need to sell. I will play that game.
Right.
Yeah.
Let's see. Kingdom Hearts 3 is on my list because this is the first time that we saw it.
It's the first of like 7 times
Yeah.
we saw Kingdom
we'll,
Hearts.
We'll get there.
With some of the worst trailers that have ever been cut to a screen I have ever seen in my life.
That voice acting
is pretty rough.
Hot garbage.
It's real bad.
It's real anime.
I feel,
but it's like real bad anime.
But it's always been bad.
Okay, but okay. To say it's always been bad is to acknowledge that we were bad before and refuse to make any progress.
True.
Acknowledging that we were bad before and that we can work on it, and we have worked on it, is also something that has occurred. And I think we can find common ground there.
Right.
So for them to simply say, people bought it in the 90s, that was very...
For me,
that was pretty shitty.
This game is...
They can't slide by with me anymore.
This game is a decade plus too late for me to really give a shit about it. I remember, Bree, my wife, that was my first anniversary present to her 13 years ago was Kingdom Hearts 2. And she played the shit out of it. And we had a great I had a great time watching her play it. And this game has been in development for the entirety of my relationship, which is the longest relationship that I know of in our group.
In their defense, they put out 2 other games that apparently have a lot of crucial story elements in them.
Oh, I mean, yeah.
And personally, I have to say, fuck you for doing that, Square. I think that is the biggest, just fucking most shortcut, just fucking fan servicey. Just take it off by the pallets, you hungry fucking nerds. Get out of here.
Play this phone game.
It's so frustrating.
That is integral to the story. Okay.
Yeah, and they've made it integral to the story because the problem is as a company, they're utilizing their developers in other locations, like for instance, to try to push that train wreck of the last fucking Final Fantasy. Not the last, the one before last.
13.
Yes,
Yeah,
correct.
bad.
13.
I was going to say,
Yeah.
15
was fine.
was good.
15's
followed
fine.
almost the
It's
same,
good. It's
a
good.
similar
It's fine.
development cycle,
Right.
but it came out pretty good.
I'm not going to shit on 15. And who knows, maybe Kingdom Hearts 3 will be a good game too. But the problem is they, instead of being like contracting their writers and putting them into another project, they just recycled them over and over again for these fan servicey titles that they knew they could make easy money on. And the writers did a good job, and it's really unfair for the writers as much as it is for the fans.
Yeah.
And that's the problem, is the company hurts themselves when they do shit like this.
Yes.
And that was a huge dive for me with Square.
Yeah.
And that's been my point of contention for the
that's-
last decade.
Yeah, that seems to be a problem that's been slowly going away with Square and their first party titles. Is over the last 10 years there was this idea that they had to like diversify their assets and put them on different places and like make quick bucks. They were almost going in the route of Konami, and then we saw what happened to Konami. They're fucking out of the game now, and all they make is slot machines at this point.
Yeah.
But luckily, it seems kind of starting with Final Fantasy 15 is they understand that these core games are very important to a big amount of people.
Right.
And they need to start putting in the effort and the time and the money to bring these things to life. I'm with you guys that I'm at the point now where it's like I feel like I probably will still play Kingdom Hearts 3 just because it is Kingdom Hearts.
Yeah.
But my level of excitement, like as seen from that 2013 fucking Facebook post that I had where I was like, "Oh, Kingdom Hearts 3 announced. Shut up and take my money." I don't think I'm at that point anymore.
It'll be
5 years.
It'll be
5 years ago they showed it off.
right.
What have they been doing for 5 fucking years?
Final Fantasy 15. Plus, they have an MMO. Plus, did you know that there is a Dissidia 2?
Oh yeah.
I know, because it's garbage, and I'm gonna punch somebody if we ever go to Japan.
Yeah, let's not.
Yeah.
Speaking of Japan, I'm gonna jump to Jump Force.
Yeah. No.
Okay, so Server Assassin interest hasn't waned. I would argue that in the core gamer demographic, yes, it certainly has. And I consider us core gamers, and I consider myself 31 years old a core consumer where I don't play that many games, so you've really, really got to pique my interest to get me to play it. You're honestly, in this E3, I'll go to my thoughts. This is one of the E3s that has most piqued my interest to play video games. And it's been a long time since I could say that. There's a ton of good stuff coming out. One of those things is not Kingdom Hearts 3. Jump Force. I am a big weeb.
It's cute.
It looks really fun, except for the parts that kind of looked like they were in engine, and it looks like the Budokai / Xenoverse 2 engine, and I'm out. Like, no. When you release a great game like Dragon Ball Fighter Z, and then you follow it up with a video game
that is a regression.
That is a regression back to a bad battle system.
Which specifically are you referring to? Xenoverse 2 or?
I think the Xenoverse, like that style of 3D, that 3D fighting that was pioneered in Budokai and then has spread to the Xenoverse style. I'm just not a fan whatsoever.
I have to say I'm a larger fan of 2D fighters, but I enjoyed some of Budokai and I enjoyed some of Xenoverse 2 for what they were. But I would certainly never grade those titles above like a C- for sure.
Nah, Jump Force
So
to
I'm
me,
not.
like, I don't think it's the intention, but it kind of feels like that easy cash in Japanese like bloatware that gets like that never comes to the States. That's finally coming to the States.
Well, we had Jump All Stars for the DS. That was kind of like the Smash clone that nobody really
I didn't even know this existed.
Yeah.
It's basically the same concept. You get all the Shonen Jump properties in.
I mean, it's really cool because a concept like this, similar to Smash, of bringing all of your favorite characters together in some sort of fighting game or any sort of game in general,
Right.
like has the ability to bring in a lot of different audiences. But I personally, like, the Xenoverse games were cool, but I always felt that the combat system was very lacking in it. If it's going to be similar to that, I don't really have too much interest in it.
For me, there's just not enough. So for me, I hate some of the animes that they have shown.
Right, like they
Jump
showed
Force.
off One Piece, and I'm like, nah.
And then they also didn't like have any throwbacks to like some of their older series that
A Yu Yu Hakusho,
right,
which would have been really cool.
Or I even enjoyed like Shaman King when I was younger.
Yeah,
and if I forget the name of the samurai who was in it, but if they had the samurai spirit from that show, I would be like, whoa, that's a really cool callback. That's really neat, but it really looks like they're just fucking, like Chris said, just running for the fucking money bags.
Yeah, they're
without any shame.
Yeah,
Which is, there is going to be a good audience for that,
Yeah.
for sure. Much like there's an audience for other games that look like they're just there to skip for money. Like every EA game, people fucking play them.
Yeah,
People will play
definitely.
this, and that's totally fine. If you find enjoyment in it, play it. Absolutely.
I mean, as much as we just shit on EA, like
People will buy those video games.
exactly,
Yeah.
they are a business that is doing something correctly. They are also a business that does a lot of shit incorrectly, but they are clearly making enough moves to make it out ahead. And I think that Jump Force is a great move for them. It's just not something that I'm terribly interested in at this time.
Speaking of shameless, Devil May Cry 5.
Oof. I'd be more excited if it was DMC 2.
Me too. but they very publicly
we
took
see
a
it.
shit.
Yeah,
on it.
we apparently are like 3 of maybe 10 people who have a similar thought process where we feel DMC was the best, if not one of the
it
best
is, for sure, probably.
Devil May Cry games.
I would.
I'm happy that the series still exists, and I'm
Right.
happy they have the original creator back on it, or not. Shinji Mikami technically was the
Right.
original creator, but he was one of the original producers. I am glad it exists. I'm glad they're bringing Nero back. Nero was a cool character. I enjoyed him in 4. I
He
did
looks
not.
to be more the focal point, though.
He
and
was the
that I
focal
don't-
point in 4.
right? And I didn't enjoy that storyline as much.
From what I understand, it's pretty split between
Okay.
Virgil, Nero, and Dante.
So Virgil
far as-
is in this game.
Virgil is in fact in this game. The
Right.
cutscene where they took Nero's arm in the trailer, that was Virgil.
Oh, okay.
Who took his arm.
Gotcha. Well, obviously he has to be in the game because he's integral to the entire world of that. But
Right. But it'll be interesting to play just kind of the way that when you first picked up 4 and Nero, you're like, who the fuck? Like, why?
Okay,
it's
so-
like playing like Raiden in Metal Gear 2.
here's the argument.
It was an assault on the senses.
Here's the argument
Yeah.
against the people who did not like DMC that I'm just going to pose, and you can digest it however you want. People hated the redesign of Dante. That was like the biggest reason why
course they
people
did.
didn't play the game, is because they're like, what is this emo bullshit Dante? Why does he have short black hair?
Right.
You know, why is he, you know, this young dude? It doesn't make any sense. First off, Ninja Theory said that this is an alternate universe. They can do whatever the fuck they want. So go fuck yourself. 2, they redesigned Nero to pretty much look exactly like
I was
him,
gonna-
just with white hair.
That was going to be one of the things that I stated as well, is the Nero redesign is exactly, I think it's a full callback. But, I mean, DMC also was able to laugh at itself. But here's the thing, like, if you can't handle an origin story, like if you can't handle me when I'm fucking swole, you don't deserve me when I'm skinny fat. Like, or if
kind
you
of
can't
true.
handle me when I'm skinny fat, then you don't deserve me when I'm swole. That's how I feel.
Yeah, there you
Like for me, I played a lot of Baldur's Gate when I was younger, but Baldur's Gate 2 is where the franchise really took it for me. And I played with these like level, starting off really powerful characters, and played them until they were level 20, and played the expansion and got them even higher. And it was so cool to feel powerful. But it gave me a better appreciation to go back to the first one, which is now my favorite in the series, and just play as like a lower level dude trying to figure out shit and become that powerful adventurer. So just being able to tell my own origin story in Baldur's Gate and being able to do that meant so much to me. That kind of DMC doing that, and Chris even stated, so it's not even really an in-canon origin story. It is an alternate universe. But the fact that there are some callbacks to it, I mean, I like that. I
liked the new take.
Yeah,
I liked the originality
for
that
me
flowed from
exactly.
that game.
It left me questioning, like, okay, cool, this is great. I would like to see where he develops into white-haired Dante and has, you know, the broodiness, because honestly, I think Dante, in his own universe, the Dante that we know, before DMC, is actually more emo than DMC.
And it's
Dante.
really just proof that a lot of people just judge the game without playing
Yeah.
it, because if you actually play the
Yeah.
game, he's nothing like what you think.
Yeah.
When I bought
agreed.
the game, I remember purchasing the game because I was excited after checking out the gameplay and whatnot. We walk into GameStop. I'm purchasing the game, and the guy behind the counter was like, "I can't believe you're buying this. Just look at the cover art." because it had Dante on the front with the sword
Right.
behind him. And
Yeah.
he's like, look what they did to him. And I was like, I've been playing Devil May Cry since it was a demo on
When it came with
whatever-
Code Veronica
Yeah, exactly.
back in like 2001.
Playing it since it
2000.
came out with my hot za.
And I was like, listen, this game looks great. If it plays great, then what's the difference? And I played it, and it played great. And that was a game that I played through to completion.
which is impossible for you
which
most of
is
the time.
which is amazing. And I really enjoyed it. I mean, my folks enjoyed watching it.
Yeah.
Which
I
was
enjoyed
like-
that game so much. I bought a second copy when they did a definitive edition for the PC.
I have to say, like when it first got announced and I saw the cosmetic changes too, I also denounced it being an entitled angry gamer. And what changed my mind is I was working at GameStop and a manager and me were talking about it, and because he rented it and he was just like, check it out, give it a shot. He was like, I really enjoyed it, and I'm a pretty, I'm pretty big Puritan about my series, and that. Just playing it gave it like turned around and gave me a whole new perspective on stuff. And it really just goes to show you like, fucking try it,
Yeah.
like
and it's going to be the same
before-
thing with 5. It's just
Yeah.
you're bringing a series back that I have invested into. I'm going to try it.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I mean,
Because
I'll
what
give it
you were
this-
doing was not bad
Right.
at all. It was good. Like 1, 3, and 4 were all great. Like we'll forget about 2
Yeah,
like
let's
that
not
ever
talk about
existed.
2. Yeah.
So the fact that it's even existing still is just it's good. It's good to see that series like this continue, regardless of who's making it.
For sure.
True. Let's go to Sekiro.
Good old Sekiro.
That looked really good.
Is that the shadow of somebody or something?
Not the Ghost of Tsushima.
Okay.
It's Shadows Die Twice.
Shadows
Shadows
Die
Die
Sekiro
Twice.
Shadows Die
That's it.
Twice.
Yeah, yeah.
That was the game that they teased last year with the short little snippet and just said Shadows Die Twice. And from since it's from Soft, people were speculating, is this a new Tenchu game? Are they bringing that back? Is this Bloodborne 2? Because it
It's-
looks gothic and creepy and like bones are cracking and blood's everywhere. And then they're like, no, we're going to fucking Japan, dude. You're gonna be a goddamn, you're
It'll be
gonna be a
nifty.
shinobi.
Yeah.
It looks like it's gonna follow the mold. So far, it looks like it's gonna follow the same mold as the Born and Soul series. So cool. I'm glad they're doing other stuff than their bread and butter. They're just applying they're doing exactly their bread and butter. They're just applying a new cosmetic addendum to their existing shell.
We can call it
Which-
Soulzuru.
Sure, yeah, I'm game. Call it whatever, man. If it fucking sells and it's a good game, then I'm happy. I'm just glad that they have proven themselves to be a contender.
Yeah, I'm excited for it, obviously, because nothing that they have done up to this point with the games that they've created with this type of gameplay have been bad. They've all
Right.
been fantastic. I've loved every single one of them. There really wasn't much to show at E3 as far as gameplay. You see enough in the trailer to understand that this is going to be faster paced. They're going for more verticality with having a grappling hook that you can use in and out of combat. But from what I understand from some early players that were at E3 is that a lot of the RPG elements are actually going away. It's strictly going to be about the combat, which is like you said, their bread and butter. It's
Right.
all about the visceral, in-your-face, challenging, strategic combat. So, just on that alone, I'm totally into that game. It just it looks really cool.
Let's wrap Microsoft. I saved the best
Rap
for last.
Microsoft. I have so many things to say.
Oh,
About
boy.
I've got something else as well.
Okay.
So what's your wrap on it?
My wrap, I wanted to leave the best for last. Cyberpunk 2077. I
Um,
thought that was the best reveal that Microsoft had.
it. You're like, they didn't show us anything.
No.
exactly.
They gave us a trailer,
They gave us a trailer,
and that's fine
They
to feel that way.
gave
Absolutely.
us absolutely nothing else.
Right.
I am kind of big on not being upset about what isn't showed, but if you do show something, make it of merit. For them to show off a trailer that is all over the place. The trailer had schizophrenia, in my opinion. Not a good trailer. Like, as far as introductions into the cyberpunk world, I think that they need to take cues from movies such as, like, Blade Runner. I think that a solid introduction, some narrative could have really done them, it could have served them a lot better. It didn't in any way hype me up for the game. It just showed me how much of a fucking shit soup that we're in for. And I honestly, CD Projekt Red, there's been a lot of developers that have been leaving. A lot of developers have been fucking like, and when I say leaving, I mean getting up, slamming their fucking keyboards down, and walking the fuck out. I don't mean that they're like, I think I'm going to try to move to a new project. No, these people are leaving fucking angry. They have shit to say on the way out. They're telling, and a lot of these guys were Witcher 3 veterans. And even they are like, they're looking for keyboard monkeys. Every day is crunch day. And if every day is crunch day, then you don't have a company. I'm sorry. You have a fucking factory. And that's not what the game industry is about. And I'd rather see them.
That is what the game industry is about.
It is currently.
It's just something that needs to change.
The companies that have been doing that the most, EA, putting out garbage consistently, all the time. Like, and it is, and that's why the indie market is thriving right now. So, I don't know. I have some mixed feelings about it. Like, I'm excited because CD Projekt Red is one of my favorite developers, period. But at the same time, I would really like to see themselves kind of police themselves.
I think that you're a very practical, like, show me the game person, and I'm coming at it from the very, like, aesthetician sort of part of it. I loved that it was schizophrenic because it shows me the world that I can run around in, which kind of harkens back to some of the old Fallout trailers where it's just like the 76 trailer showed us basically nothing at first, like the teaser trailer, except some wide shots of the world and things that are going on. And I'm like, oh, that gets me all hyphy. But they gained a lot of goodwill with me when somebody freeze framed the end of that trailer and there was a hidden message in the back. It was like a Q&A written by the devs, and it was like in really dark red text against the black background so you wouldn't see it. And a lot of things were like, hey, we're concerned about this and that. Like, are you going to have loot boxes? And they're like, in an RPG? Are you nuts? And like, they basically addressed a lot of concerns.
They're going to do it right.
Let me pull up.
They're absolutely going to do it right. And I have no fear of that. I know it will be a good game. I just don't know if it's going to cost them their developmental soul, right? Or how much of it is going to cost them, or what will be left. Are they going to put out this game and it's going to be their fucking that'll be it? It'll be their death row. Is this it? Like, are they going to rush this so hard and push so much money into it and kill these developers that nobody wants to fucking work for them? Like, that's my concern. Is what the company is actively doing. So this is weird in that, like, I think that the trailer is a symptom of two things. A, that the game is going to be really good, and B, that the company is having problems.
That being said, all the closed gameplay, like, the rooms, people came out and they're like, yeah, dude.
I'm sure, right. Like I said, I am absolutely sure that game is going to be fucking the tits.
Right.
Or at the very least, it will not disappoint.
So
yeah.
So Cyberpunk. What else do you guys have on Microsoft?
There were 2 points that weren't even necessarily about individual games that I wanted to bring up that I thought was really cool that Microsoft is doing to prove their commitment to Xbox for the future. The first one is Game Pass. It seems like that they are doubling down on Game Pass. All of their first party titles that they release are all on Game Pass first day. If you don't know what Game Pass is, just to kind of briefly explain it, it's basically a monthly service separate from Xbox Live. It's $10 a month. Any game that's within the Game Pass, you can download, play whenever the fuck you want, as long as you have a membership to it, which is a really great system for people who like see some older titles they haven't tried. They can download it real quick, play it, delete it, move on. Or for their first party titles like Sea of Thieves, which regardless of how shit I thought that game was, people were able to just play the game by buying into this pass and enjoying it for a little bit of time and then move on.
You get so much day one.
Sea of Thieves is already dead. I agree with you. But the point is, like, they committed that their first party titles are going to be a part of it every single time, no matter what they do, and they continuously add third party titles. So they added like Fallout 4, which yes is a 2-year-old game at this point,
right? But
it's to hype people up to get into 76. They brought the Elder Scrolls Online there, which is to hype the new expansion that just came out.
Forza Horizon.
Horizon, obviously, since it's a first party title, they brought the Division because Division 2 is about to come out in a couple of months. And then not only that, to kind of subsequently continue that trend, they bought a lot of developers that have a lot of promise. And one of those, like, I'll talk about one because we talked about them a lot already, is Ninja Theory, who made DMC, who made Hellblade, who made Enslaved. They have an excellent fucking track record of fantastic games that unfortunately didn't sell as well as they need to in order for them to continue to do what they want to do. But it's good that Microsoft recognized them as this is a development team that does good shit. We need to cash in on this and get them in here so that way we start looking better comparatively to Sony. Because Sony is
killing it.
We'll get to theirs. They like when it comes to first party titles, that's what they fucking got.
Yeah, exactly. For sure. In spades. I will say that the devs that got bought by Microsoft, I mourn their loss of independence, but I'm happy for the new resources being bought by Microsoft will garner them. Provided the dev team stay intact, which depending on the contracts going in, some devs might have more freedom than others. I think it could be a really good thing. I think expanding the pass is probably the best thing Microsoft could do. I really think that this is a good track for them to be on. It really kind of allows them to create their own niche in the console world, which is absolutely fucking killer.
And I almost feel like, even though I kind of don't want it to be, because I like the idea of like owning a game and it being mine and I can download it, uninstall it whenever I want, give it to a friend to try out if he wants to play it, like that feeling of having a physical copy, even though I primarily play on PC, having a robust library of all the same games that PlayStation 4 has and being like, why would you pay for those individually when you can just come to our system? We have it for one fee and you can just mow through them at your convenience. Like that's a really good fucking deal.
I really have to echo that as well.
It's the future of the industry, I think, and the subscription model.
It's the future of consoles, at least. I don't think that'll happen with PC gaming. Even though like companies like going back to EA has their like access pass, and now they have a premium access pass, which basically is the same thing of Game Pass, which is like new games you get to play day one. But the original pass was like, here's all of our old games, play them whenever the fuck you want.
I think consoles are going to start to niche out really hard, and they're going to start to create their own markets, which there will be small, mutual competitors in those realms. But if the big three continue to fight amongst each other for one populace, as that populace becomes more and more entitled, all three are going to lose. And I think they've realized that. So Sony, with their first major titles and being able to be like, look, man, you're either getting it here first or you're getting the best here, period, is a good way for them to be. Also, I mean, they have a sleek system. They have garnered a lot of goodwill with the people, even though they've been hacked several times. They've made it up to their player base a lot. I have to say, I think that the Sony fanboys are a billion times more tolerable than Microsoft fanboys. I myself I would consider myself more of a PlayStation
If
player.
we're comparing those two consoles, yeah, I tend to lean towards
Right.
PlayStation more.
But I have to say,
Even though I like Xbox.
yeah, I don't mind Xbox. I owned a 360, one of my favorite games for it. I mean, what really got me to it was Gears of War, and that was one of their exclusives back when it was very good.
It's still good, but
It's
it doesn't
decent, for sure.
Yeah,
I just don't think they're really evolving it enough for me to give a shit.
Yeah.
But and moving into Gears of War, talking about that, I really do like that they're taking their they've taken a completely different approach to how they're going to do things with regard to their developers, which has been really cool to watch. But I mean, another couple exclusives that I did write down. I am really excited for what they are doing with Gears of War now. I think that the Gears of War Tactics is cool. Okay, like I don't know if it's going to be good, but I like that they're doing something new. The Gears of War Pop is just kind of cute, and the fact that it's going to be like a mobile game where
Yeah.
you have pops running around fucking chainsawing each other down.
Yep.
I just think it's going to be it's going to be cute.
It's never.
You'll smile
I can't
while
say
you're
it's.
pooping.
I can't say it's never a bad idea, but
Right.
it's a good idea to look at your flagships and be like, what are different ways that we can approach these and
Yeah.
make interesting titles. Like a lot of people didn't play Halo Wars, but Halo Wars was actually a pretty solid RTS. Same
Agreed.
thing with Halo Wars 2. They were actually pretty good.
Yeah.
But no one played them because they're like, it's not a first person shooter, it's an RTS.
I liked them better than their Star Wars counterparts.
Or their Lord of the Rings counterparts.
The Lord of the Rings counterparts, I wish I could forget.
What
they
is it?
really-
Battle for Middle Earth or something like that. That was the
I don't-
RTS.
I think so, maybe. That's been that bad.
Yeah.
But their RTSs were hot garbage. I really wish that Relic had gotten a hold of that franchise,
Sure.
and especially considering how well they had proven themselves with what is it called? Dawn of War, with the Warhammer 40,000 legacy. So going back to a fantasy setting with Lord of the Rings, I really think they could have knocked it out of the park.
Yeah.
But I mean, we're going back into like 15 years of regret now.
Yeah.
So I have to say I was very excited for what they announced for Gears of War.
Yeah.
Cool. Good on them.
Same.
Sea of Thieves, I think, is already dead. I think they're just trying to milk the corpse for all that's left. I think Metro Exodus was leaked there, or they did I think it was at that conference where
They showed it off there.
Metro, yeah.
Metro
that was-
Exodus.
yeah.
I love the Metro series. It is my very fave. I was just telling Chris a couple weeks ago how I was playing through on like Spartan hardcore mode because I played through on Ranger hardcore mode the last time, and I ended up running out of bullets for every fucking gun on one of the boss fights and had to kill the boss with my knife for the whole like second and third phases of the fight, and it was so much fun. I can't wait for Metro Exodus. Everything about it looks better. All my complaints about the previous Metros look like they've been completely fucking solved, such as the ability to adjust your gun by the parts that you find in the
Yep.
field. It just looks so good.
Yeah.
I cannot wait. Terribly excited. And they had Massive Attack playing, and that album is 100%.
It looks really cool.
Yes. And then the final thing that I had, and then I'll pass it back to Chris, was I believe they did We Happy Few again.
They didn't. They
just
bought the
showed-
company that
Right.
does We Happy Few, which
Right.
is one of the 4 companies that they bought.
I think they just played the same trailer that's already been in existence, and they basically just been like, "Hey, it's coming. We got the dev. Now it's here."
Is it not already out?
I don't think it is already.
I
out.
thought it was.
Is it? Maybe it is.
I just think they bought them for future expansion and for whatever they have coming down the pipeline.
They showed We Happy Few off again. Yeah, initial release date 2018. Yeah, I guess it's available. Let me look. I did not know.
I did watch a lot of the mid.
Intended for release on the 10th of August, 2018.
Okay.
Sorry to cut you off.
I did watch a lot of the mid show stuff, like after Microsoft, before Bethesda was about the time that I got home and I turned on the stream and started watching. They had all of these new Xbox or Microsoft owned devs on, and they all sounded pretty excited, and they said they had a lot of their own autonomy.
To be fair, would Microsoft let anybody get up and say otherwise?
No, but
you can kind of typically tell
Right.
by demeanors.
Yeah.
they were excited.
I agree. I think that I genuinely believe that the companies and the people that they put up on screen would be and are very excited. I'm not saying that it's something we need to be wary of. I'm just saying typically that's the trade-off is independence versus resources. And they're not going to have any problems right now. If they experience those problems, it's going to be down the road. When they're in development hell, when it's crunch time, when they're faced with the same problems that CD Projekt Red is. Where they or even Bethesda, for instance.
Yep.
But yeah, the last thing I was going to say is we happy for you. I know they didn't show off anything. I shouldn't be terribly excited. I should probably scowl at them for not doing anything else with it. I honestly think they were pressed for time. I just don't think We Happy Few gets enough cred. I mean, for the simple fact that nobody in this room knew when the release date was.
Right.
Yeah.
I think it looks fucking great, and that is probably that and Metro Exodus are the games I want to pick up the most.
Speaking of the conference and the mid show stuff, the guy who was presenting on the stream, that guy is like my fucking hero.
Who was it?
Oh, I can't remember his name. Is Jeff something.
Huh.
He was like interviewing all of these indie devs and doing all this mid-show stuff to kill time, but his job was basically to sit on couch and talk to people and then stand up and go talk to more people while they swap those people out. And it was a logistical unicorn dream of like getting these people in and out, and they put on an entertaining show because I was like, oh God, what's going to be in this dead space between all of these presentations? And that guy,
Which is something that Microsoft did well, and we'll talk about Sony.
yeah. So they really did such a great job on the Game Slice channel of keeping you engaged with everything that was going on in between, and they had a lot of really good content. And that guy was working morning, noon, and night, and he knew everything about every game and every developer. It was just very impressive.
Jeff Keighley.
Jeff Keighley, yeah.
Yeah, he's all over he's the one who does the Game Awards.
Right.
Yeah.
That guy.
He developed that. He's real big in the industry, and he's real good friends with a lot of people at Microsoft.
That guy is.
He's good. He's good at what he does.
That guy's a hero.
Yeah, he's
It's
real
just
good.
coming from a thing where we get together and we talk about stuff, but that guy just for the
It's a
last
labor of
5
love, man.
days, it was just like, oh
Dude,
my
yeah.
God.
For sure.
Yeah.
Do you have any closing notes on MS?
They, while their first party titles aren't really going to hit soon,
Right.
Halo Infinite was just kind of similar to Cyberpunk, which is just teased. We have no clue when it's coming or what it's going to be, even though we know it's probably going to be a shooter of some kind.
Yeah.
I think Microsoft understood their position in the world, especially next to a company like Sony, because I don't really consider Microsoft and Sony really fighting Nintendo, because Nintendo just kind of does their own thing and they
Exactly.
succeed, and it doesn't
Nin-
matter
Nintendo-
doesn't matter what you do. They make
Yeah.
Mario, Zelda, Metroid, Animal Crossing, spin-offs of all that shit. They're gonna make money.
Yeah,
and you can't compete with that.
Nintendo niched out a while back because I think they were the first to recognize
Going back
what
to
needed
Iwata.
to happen. Yeah, for sure.
When Iwata took over, he just we're not going to compete with these guys.
Yeah, we're going to do our own thing. So understanding their position in the market of being well behind Sony in sales and in reputation, especially when it came to this era, because we got to remember when the Xbox One launched, that was a fucking travesty of a launch. It was terrible.
And their
Yeah.
conference was terrible.
Their conference was bad
Everything was
because they
abysmal,
tried to
and
sell us an ideas that are just not going to work for the consumer.
And Sony ate them
Yeah, because all they had to do
alive.
was at their press conference be like, "You want to trade a game with a friend?"
Here's how it works.
Here's
they
how it
did
works.
a live demonstration, aka shit down Microsoft's fucking throat.
And I guarantee they shot that an hour before the conference and was
Yeah.
like, we have to add this in somewhere. We
Oh,
have to shit
yeah.
on this.
Oh yeah.
So having a guy like Phil Spencer, who's like basically the head of Xbox now, he came in like a year after Xbox One launched. They have the full understanding that this is a long game now. This is no longer short-term solutions for big problems. They have to start positioning themselves for the next 5 years. And it seems like they're doing that because instead of creating brand new consoles, they're like, why don't we just start iterating on our consoles? Like, here's an Xbox One X. It can do better frames, better resolutions, and we're going to keep iterating on that while maintaining that once you have an Xbox system, everything that you want to play on it, you can fucking play on it. Don't
Right.
have to worry about backwards compatibility. Like 360 and original Xbox compatibility, every week they come out with new games. You can play any Xbox One game on either console. You know, it just depending on what type of fidelity you want. And they'll just keep iterating and they'll keep pushing higher and higher with that.
And that's something
And
that
I think that
bamboozled Sony.
like
It was a smart move.
Sony put out the PlayStation Pro first, but I don't think they had the mindset of it being an iteration. They thought of it as
Exactly.
a stopgap
Yeah.
before the next round of consoles, where Microsoft was like, hang on a second.
Yeah.
Why don't we just keep it at one system, stick with the one mantra, and say we're just going to keep iterating on this one system while maintaining that every other system you have below it can still do the same things, just at, you know, lower fidelity.
Yeah.
So they are in a real good spot that I think in the next like 3 years, 2 to 3 years, we're going to be looking back and being like, they've made some really smart business decisions.
I agree.
They are putting themselves back into the game. So
Yeah.
that's to me what I got out of it the most, because
Definitely.
they're buying into their own concepts. They're buying into their first party. They're bringing new people in to do more first party stuff. They're selling a pass that's like, play some old shit, play our shit, all for one price. Come to us, and this is what you'll get.
I think they made the mistake of being entitled themselves when they came into the new generation of consoles. They just came off of the previous console war. They just came off of the last market where they dominated heavily. Xbox 360 was so much cheaper than a PlayStation. It was so much more economical.
It had backwards compatibility.
Exactly.
It
was
was a better media system. It didn't have
immediately, yeah.
online problems like getting hacked for like months on end to where you couldn't play games online.
They were much easier to fix.
Yep.
If you had problems, they were 10 times easier to fix. Microsoft support is 100% just going to be like, sure, what do you want? You got it. Dealing with Sony was a giant pain in the ass during the PlayStation 3 era. Not to mention how much a PlayStation 3 originally shipped for versus an Xbox starting out the door at $99.
Wasn't that low?
Arcade? I mean, no, an arcade I think when it first shipped was $199.
In the
But-
year of
but
our Lord
eventually-
2006, the Wii was $250, the Xbox 360 was $350, the PS3 was $600.
I remember the arcade shipping at $199.
That
Yeah,
came
that was
out
an
after.
iteration. Like once they
Sure,
started
absolutely.
like lowering
Yeah.
the pricing and coming out with different
But
bundles.
Yeah.
Because they had like an
point
arcade
is-
version, a regular version, and an elite version.
My point is, as Sony was upgrading and charging more for these upgrades, they disassembled and charged significantly less to have more opportunities for new people, new gamers to break into the market.
Yep.
They really created the casual gamer, which they then cultivated to turn into what we were calling the core gamer now.
gamers, yeah.
Yeah, so if you want to thank somebody for the industry that we have today, you need to look back and give credit where it's due, which is Microsoft, which I know sucks, but you know.
All right, Microsoft, good job.
Yeah.
We're going to go to the next one of the night now that we spent an hour on Microsoft.
EA was in there too. It's okay.
Bethesda.
Well, to be fair, Microsoft was the best presentation, so I mean
Well,
they deserve to be
they
talked
deserve
about.
the word.
We'll talk. Bethesda. Okay, I'm gonna open this with
Sure.
poor Andrew WK. This guy went out there and played his little heart out to try to get the crowd revved up.
He would have smashed if it was a fucking concert and not
Yeah.
fucking 3.
Yeah, just when the first camera angle went to the crowd after he started, and it was this dude with headphones in his ears, looking at the camera like, what the fuck is this?
Yeah.
I got so fucking tilted.
For me, why I don't understand why anybody tries to do any live performances or tries to do any audience interaction. These people are not that audience. You can't make them that audience. Stop. Like, they're not going to appreciate it. And if they are going to appreciate it, they're not going to appreciate it the way you want them to. Stop forcing it. Bethesda should fucking know better, especially after they came out on stage and they're like, "We're just like you. We're gamers. We're just like you. We make games for you because we were like, we want to play games, so we made them. We're like you." These fucking goddamn idiots.
To be fair, that's every presentation.
I immediately was just like, I hate Bethesda. I wrote them initially as a D because I was mad at them.
Can I say something? They
But-
literally said that in the fucking Microsoft conference too.
Yeah,
But we're not
they
mad at
s-
Microsoft.
No, I'm mad at Microsoft because they had their fucking Peruvian flute band get up and play. Yeah, fuck them. No, trust me. God damn.
All right.
All right, cool.
So
So
I just got
besides-
plenty of hate for them, but
Bes-
Bethesda
sure.
should know better. Microsoft is like your drunk uncle. Bethesda is the cool cousin. They should fucking know better, especially after coming out and giving us that rant about how they know what we want and are going to deliver it because they're just like us, except they're fucking stealing money from us. So, yeah, I initially gave them a fucking D.
So okay,
But
so
I objectively looked back and said, that's not fair. I have my own personal misgivings here. They deserve a C.
I'm gonna kind of scroll through some of the stuff. Rage 2 looks like a fun first-person shooter. Definitely an improvement on Rage.
Yeah,
I
because that
like
game
the
was
shift in-
boring.
I like the shift in tone, but there's not a whole lot to say about Rage. I don't think.
my
I got
note. My
nothing.
note for that is: in a world where Wolfenstein and Doom exist, why does Rage?
I will
There you
wait
go.
until Rage is $30, and
I'll
then
wait until
I'm-
it's $20.
and then I might try it if
Is
and
this on Game Pass?
if Doom is okay. So I will try it if it's $30 if Doom is not under $60.
Speaking of Doom, I don't think there's a whole lot to say here either. This is the sequel that we all
Hype.
knew was coming.
Yeah.
Doom Eternal.
Well,
You're like,
I
well,
was-
it's a trailer that
to be
didn't show
fair,
us
it's-
anything.
I was hoping it was an expansion, but they're actually announcing the game.
right.
So I will kind of shit on them for that. They didn't do anything with Doom.
right.
I don't think it deserves
But-
a Doom 2.
But to be fair, just like they did with the original Doom, they are announcing it at QuakeCon.
Right.
Like that is where it gets announced. That is where it gets officially shown
I'm
off
not
to the
gonna shit on
world.
them for that.
It's me and you kind of have that disagreement of like that cheesy trailer, like we listen to you, the gamers, and this is what we have down the pipeline.
I will shit on them for every other game that they do that with, but I will not shit on them for Doom 2. I respect that they are going to announce it and probably show it off at QuakeCon.
Yeah.
Totally cool with that because we know where that is. We know what to expect. And if people showed up entitled to that, then
Yeah.
I think they showed up to the wrong conference expecting the wrong
difference
things. and
is
that's on
they
them.
set the expectation.
Exactly.
Instead of
Yeah.
leaving it to the masses to like speculate and wonder the next time we're going to
Yeah.
see it and salivate at the idea of it existing without nothing to really come to
They
Precisely.
fed
fruition
us
for a
the
while.
crumbs.
There is substance there.
They were like, listen, we know you want it. We want to tell you that it's here. It exists. Here's a
Yeah.
small trailer. We're not going to show it off until QuakeCon because that's what we do with Doom and Quake games.
And I think that's 100% fair.
And that's in August. It's
Yep.
only a couple months away.
Biggest thing, Mick Gordon's back doing the soundtrack.
Yeah.
Dog bless.
Thank God.
So there's not a whole lot to talk about with Doom until QuakeCon comes out. We'll do another.
Yeah,
video.
I am glad that series came back with a vengeance like it did.
Yeah.
And it, like we talked about it 2 years ago when we talked about our favorite games of that year. Doom was my favorite game of that year.
Yep.
So it's good to see that they are kind of they're following up.
It was a close second for me as well.
We could call Bethesda the Great Resurrector because I'm looking through all these things and it's like Wolfenstein, the Great Resurrection that was Wolfenstein, and now we've got
Yeah.
an 80s co-op mode. We've got
Yeah.
It's a whole
they've-
separate game. It's not even
Yeah.
a mode. It's
Oh.
it's a whole new game.
Exactly. Yeah,
I thought it was
they've really-
DLC, but they are positioning it as a brand new title.
and then they've
Yeah.
got the
The
other
sisters.
expansion
Yeah.
thing.
And then they have like more expansions and stuff
Yeah,
coming out.
so
for it
that's
too.
that's
They're-
wild. I mean, we know it's going to be good.
I'm excited for the stuff they're doing with the existing franchises. They're not just resurrecting them for the sake of the dollar bills. They're really going after what exploration they can do with these IPs. Fallout is another great example. They did resurrect that one. Everybody just chooses to forget.
Yep.
What they've done with it is, I mean, it's not always without fault, but 76 is a perfect example of taking it in a new direction and putting a pretty solid spin on it,
Yeah, let's-
even if
let's-
it's not necessarily my cup of tea.
Let's go to 76 then.
Sure.
Sure.
I'm the Fallout guy. I think I'm the big Fallout guy. I'm so stoked. The
Did
fact
you
that
play 1 and 2?
yeah,
Okay.
like years and years. Yeah,
I won't
but-
ask about tactics.
No, let's not.
or Brotherhood of Steel.
So yeah, I'm that was some of the the years of Unreal, and Fallout was one of those games. I initially got it from a neighbor who was like, "Hey, you should try this computer game. It's about nuclear war," and I'm like, "Yeah."
Sounds dope.
So yeah, it was great. I loved 3, 4. I was lukewarm on. I thought it was really big and not great.
It was big and empty for me.
Yeah, and that's
Same.
when they were talking about, well, Fallout 76 is 4 times the size, and I'm like, well, it's set in fucking West Virginia. What is this going to be? 4 times the world map full of mountains and cryptids? Like, I mean, sure, but then when they explained, hey, when Todd was like, hey, it's all online, and I was like, fuck.
Well,
That was my
it
initial
all can be online.
right.
No, it's
It
all,
is-
even if you're single player, you are online,
Yeah.
Yes.
but you can play by yourself.
Right.
But
Let's make that
thank
distinction.
God.
You don't have to worry about other people nuking you if
I
you're
don't
a
know
single
about
player.
that though. Like I don't like again the Vernet like
We don't know.
once I get my piece, the part that I worry about it is there's a lot of questions that were left unanswered.
Right.
That I don't think we're gonna get until later.
I would gander to say that if you are impacted by multiplayer, even if you are choosing to have a solo experience, especially
still
after they said
multiplayer.
we are not forgetting about the single player experience, we are catering to the single player RPG element or the RPG player. We're not forgetting about you. For them to say that and then force upon you the seemingly random elements of multiplayer while you are trying to experience this game by a single player, I would be very upset as a player.
We will see.
I would be incredibly upset.
We'll see
Right.
how it goes. But I'm very excited about the concept of, as a guy who just finally started playing video games online with my friends, I'm excited to do like our Overwatch nights, but to do it in Fallout. And we like make our settlements and go raid some shit, get some nuke codes, blow some people up, and go hunting death claws and scorch beasts
And
and
fucking giant sloths.
and a
Did you
giant
see
sloth.
that shit? It looks stupid, but incredibly fun.
So
Todd Howard, when you were like, "Hey, the map glows in the dark. It's so fucking cool." You just took the words right out of my mouth. I was just like, "Hey, look, a limited edition that's actually kind of cool."
Right.
The voice changer power armor helmet. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's wearable.
yeah.
I'm concerned about that because I have a giant fucking head. So I'm like, I don't think that's going to fit me.
That
but I
was
want it.
actually one of my thoughts when I was watching it. I was like, "Not for Chris."
Yeah.
And-
One size fits all my fucking ass.
yeah.
That is for a hat size of a 7 and lower.
I won't fit into it either then.
I'm sure it'll be big enough, but not big enough for you.
We'll buy one and we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, let's. Yeah.
It looks like I always love collector's editions just because of the shit that I can now put on my shelf, and that
Right.
looks like one that even if the game is subpar, it would be really cool to have.
I agree. It's just like last year's collector's edition. I think they blew, or not last year. I'm sorry, last release for Fallout where
The
they
Pip-Boy?
they released
Yeah.
the Pip-Boy. That was a really really fucking solid collector's edition, and it was a decent price point.
Yep.
Yeah, it was like 150.
Yeah.
I think this one is 200.
And that's a totally acceptable for what you are getting.
Yeah.
I mean, that's going to be, it's close. The cost alone for that power armor helmet, you expect to pay $80 to $120.
Yeah, easy.
Depending on, it's a voice changer. It's got lights.
It's got a lamp light.
It's got all kinds of stuff. I think it's going to be really, really cool. I'm that asshole that bought the Fallout New Vegas Collector's Edition with the comic and the poker chip and all that stuff.
I mean,
So-
admittedly, New Vegas was
pretty good.
fucking. It's my favorite Fallout, personally.
I at first did not.
I didn't like it either.
it.
I didn't like it either. at
And it
first.
has grown. It is
Yeah.
it is a true cult classic the way that Fallout 1
Yeah.
kind of was.
Oh, yeah.
And we were like, I don't know, coming off at 3, what is this? But I mean, you got
for
the
me,
fucking NCR, you've got
I had a
there's
lot of
just so much
criticism
cool
for 3,
stuff.
so I carried over that criticism, and I felt some of it drop away, but I picked up my own critiques for this game. But like you said, I mean, Fallout 76, or not Fallout 76, New Vegas really fucking grew on me.
Mm-hmm.
And it just immediately like took the fucking lead
Mm-hmm.
and has never stopped. Like whenever I really get a hankering for Fallout, normally you go for the newest Fallout, which would be Fallout 4. I go straight to New Vegas.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I actually just reinstalled 4 just because I kind of want to get the feel of Fallout again before we go back into it. And like the first time I played through it, I didn't download any mods, and this time I'm like, load me fucking up with everything you got, Nexus. What do you got going on for me?
It was I don't know what it is about that game, but it really killed the RPG of it for me.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's the writing.
It's the writing, but it's also they don't have terrible voice actors, but the dialogue options available, the pacing of it all, the forcefulness of it all. Like how am I supposed to be a raider boss with your DLC if my son was stolen? Like, you don't give me a choice. And on an RPG, and especially a Western RPG, we should be all about choice. Mm-hmm. Like, that's what I liked about even Skyrim, is the fact that I could just be a fucking wooden spoon bandit. But it's my fucking decision, god damn it. I'm stealing all the fucking wooden spoons. I don't give a shit. What are you going to do? Foosro dog, get out of here. Like, I love that.
So I think that's a good segue.
Also,
so-
Foosro dog, also Jordan Peele.
Yeah,
Dude.
So before we get into that, because
Keegan.
that
Keegan,
was amazing. The thought that I had for going into 76 is when we went into E3, I was fully expecting like battle royales fucking everywhere. That was the expectation I had going in, and really the only game that kind of talked about it was Battlefield 5.
Yeah, Battlefield 5 was like, yeah, we're going to do another. We're going to do it.
But the thing that I saw as a trend with most major titles is now we're getting into the realm of multiplayer looter shooters, which is the trend that is actually kind of showing up, because we got Fallout 76 getting into that realm of like team up with your buddies, go find some cool shit, blow some stuff up, build some stuff, do all that fun things. Then Destiny's still around. Destiny's got a new expansion coming out. Division 2 is coming out, and then EA has Anthem. Like, that sort of genre, kind of born out of games like Borderlands, are actually the thing that is starting to really take off. Which I found, that to me was just more of an interesting point of like, we had this concept of what we thought the landscape was going to look like, when in actuality it's pivoting to something different.
Well,
Yeah,
now there's
agree.
still a lot of battle royale, but the focus and the onus is still very much indie. Where you've got the PUBG, and then you've got Epic doing Fortnite, and then
you got
you've
Realm
got a bunch
Royale
of
now,
other-
which is like the big one that's starting to take off.
You can really tell what the developers are making because it's a labor of love, and what the developers are making because it makes money.
Right.
They are making battle royales to make money. They are not making beautiful, fucking dynamic works of art that are also battle royales.
Yeah.
So
That's just the way it's working out.
I was just expecting, with like how most AAA companies go, is they just follow the money.
I mean,
and it didn't really happen as much as we thought it would.
Well, we'll see a reversion of this in like 15 to 20 years when Sparrow is making video games.
Yeah.
Because as a developer, you're going to see, which I'm referring to my stepdaughter who's turning 8, you'll see her and her generation and the people of her age range making and developing the games that they grew up with and loved and cherished, which would be Fortnite, Minecraft. We're gonna see big build outs and spikes of those.
But what's exciting about that is when people who are our age started making games, you got glorious art pieces like Braid, right? And they took platform puzzle / time dynamic and made it into something artful. And I think by the time that Sparrow becomes of game making age, if she pursues that, it's going to be a battle royale elevated.
I agree. I think instead instead of seeing these third party or indie title releases, we're going to see developers that are AAA releasing AAA games that are on their own objectively really fucking great. Yeah. So I think that this is a telling of the time and a telling of what the developers are really putting their love into. Case in point, when we last conversed, Doom lost second to, and Doom is a resurrection of a game that we all loved and grew up with, I assume.
Yep.
But it lost on my list. It was second only to an expansion for Baldur's Gate 1. Baldur's Gate 1 came out in like 95.
Super Mario
has
2.
an expansion that came out 2 years ago. The fuck. And it was really good.
Yeah.
So, I mean, and that's because developers were my age making fucking expansions that they wanted for their favorite game.
Right. I think that's a good segue coming from the Fallout guy to the Elder Scrolls guy. We don't need to talk about 6. We already talked about 6. They've showed us literally nothing.
It's a logo. Sit down. You announced it, big BFD.
Same thing with Starfield. I'm glad they're developing it. You've shown me literally fucking nothing and told me it's going to be on the next generation of consoles.
I'm more okay with that because they gave us, hey, look, we're working on taking one of our franchises and pushing it into the stars. Our objective with this is to put it on the next console or the next generation. Our objective with this is to come out with a new engine. These are all things that I see strategically as like, okay, this is cool because, you know, for instance, Fallout 4, one of my biggest gripes with it was, in addition to it being so empty, is that combat was not very fun because it basically was just Skyrim with guns.
Yeah.
That's Far Cry.
Yeah.
Far Cry is, but that's also that, like, when that tagline got announced, like it's like Skyrim but with guns for Far Cry 3, like, which was an actual slogan that somebody stated that they used in their marketing
who stated
materials.
that?
Like PC Gamer or something?
No, do you know who stated that?
No.
Adam Kovic.
Really?
That started with Adam Kovic. He said it as a joke one time when he worked for Machinima at the time.
Okay.
And he interviewed the guys who were making Far Cry, and he's like, "Oh, it's like Skyrim with guns," and then it fucking took off.
Jesus Christ!
It's a fucking meme, and
it's
he knows
a bit.
it.
You're right, and that's my thing. Is like that should be treated just as a bit. Like as soon as I read that, like I tilted my head and I was like, "So Fallout 3." Like, so exactly another game that already exists that's basically built in the same fucking engine as the previous Elder Scrolls game that came before it. Okay, cool. Then that's my point. So for me, I'm really excited for Starfield because they're really pushing the boundaries instead of just going to these tried and true settings like Fallout, like Elder Scrolls.
It's an original IP. Like, it's not based on something that has already been done. It is going to be similar in its gameplay styles of being an open world, like first person adventure RPG game.
Right.
But again, it goes back to the idea of expectation. It's not coming out until next generation. We want to take our time with this. We have a lot of big plans for it. Don't expect it anytime soon, but we want to let you know it exists, and you're going to have to wait a while.
I like
that's totally fine with me.
I like that and what they did with that way more than I did with Elder Scrolls 6. I will have to say, Elder Scrolls Blades.
That's where I wanted to go.
That actually looks really fun.
Really fun.
You guys did okay.
Blades.
You get a star.
I'm gonna have to get a new iPhone for that bad boy.
Blades looks cool. I would have to get a plus, man.
I have to
has
say,
a plus so I can play in portrait mode.
I have to say that building seems to the building elements that we're seeing pop up in more and more Bethesda games just appears to be kind of just a thing that they are doing now. And that I think that we as the consumer need to just settle in, buckle up, and hope that they don't make it the main focus and that they don't make it too tedious. It is here to stay foreseeably for the future. I mean, if they're putting building elements into an RPG on your phone, like, that's a lot. They've really shown their dedication to you building shit.
Well, this is the fallout, pun intended, from Minecraft and the popularity of Minecraft. They're like, people want to build.
I think it stems from something else. I think it stems from the developers wanting to put more power into the user's hands. And it started with Hearthfire, aka the expansion nobody bought that came out on PC because we just modded everything better than the developers could create it anyways. The expansion pack.
What was that an expansion for?
Hearthfire was an expansion for Skyrim, and it was the building in Skyrim. It was the build mode, basically.
I did not know that existed.
Yeah, it's not necessary because you just modded everything into the game anyways. But essentially, it was you making your home your hearth and being able to redesign everything, move everything in a better way, in a more smarter way than what you were doing before. They crossed that over and made it just a mainstay part of the game for Fallout 4. It looks like there's going to be a whole fucking half the whole game of Fallout 76 going to be around this. They already mentioned that Blades is going to have a huge part of it's going to be a builder. So, which is fine because it allows you to sink your time into the game without having to get bored of combat or adventures or they're offering you roguelikes too. That's super fucking cool. You can build, you can roguelike, you can do this. I think Bethesda truly is trying to put as much power in the hands of the gamer as possible rather than just ride on the coattails of let's say Minecraft. I do think that it is a consequence of it for sure. They are certainly saying, hey, this audience exists, we could tap into it, or tap into a piece of it, especially as those gamers evolve. And by evolve, I mean age into our games. For sure. Yeah.
All right. I think that wraps most of Bethesda. I think, honestly, I liked Bethesda's conference, although it was Cringe Fest 2018. There were so many programmed pauses for applause in all of the presenters' speeches. Like when they did Elder Scrolls Legends, the guy was just like, check this out. And then everyone goes, okay, not Hearthstone. And they're like, okay. And then they did the same thing with Somerset for ESO. And
even though that actually has a really large player base,
yeah.
I mean, and it looks really cool. I like what they're doing. I haven't played it, but when they kind of went through all of the story expansions and everything, I was like, man, I should probably play that. It looks cool.
If you want to try it, we can get it.
It's a giant investment of time that I'll never be able to get back.
Yeah.
Right.
And it's still an MMO.
And that's the thing about MMOs is you want to invest time and try it, but then you realize that it kind of gets just lost. No matter how good it is.
Unfortunately, I already am married to the game known as World of Warcraft. So if I ever go back to an MMO, I got to go back to it.
I think we can.
There's only one fucking room in this vehicle for one MMO that I abuse and let abuse me, and that it will forever be WoW.
All right. So speaking of abuse, Ubisoft. My one note under Ubisoft is trash. I legitimately fucking hate Ubisoft.
Wait, didn't Squeenix come before?
Oh, I'm sorry, Squeenix.
Yeah.
My note for Square is trash.
That's the other one. That's only one word, trash. Okay, Square. Let's level with you. Let's have a seat.
Let's have a note for them.
Let's have a conversation. Why Square, beloved Square, the Square that made all of the best games of my childhood? Why would you come to a conference in which all of your big reveals belong to other companies? You are sitting on Kingdom Hearts 3, and you wanted to show it, you showed the exact same trailer that they showed at the Xbox conference, the same exact trailer that they later showed at the Sony conference, except that Sony upped the ante and said that there's going to be a collector's edition that collects every single fucking game ever made in the Kingdom Hearts lore in
Not
in an
every.
exclusive.
The main lines.
Well, all the important ones, the
Sure.
essentials, right? And why would you come and show us nothing? You showed us Tomb Raider, Squeenix, that had already been shown at Xbox. You showed us literally nothing.
I think it really goes to show the respect that some of the Eastern markets give to the Western, which is to say little. I really think that it wasn't... they were not unprepared for E3. They chose to divulge nothing. I have to say this. Square is better at producing whole games and disappointing me. Whereas Bethesda is really good at never releasing a working game at launch and disappointing me. However, in a few months, Bethesda's back on top. And I'm like, this tasty game that they finally patched.
Finally got the patch it needed.
Exactly.
I
Where
got
I finally
1.1.
stopped slipping through the world.
1.1.
Sauce off
So
my fingers.
good.
that ranch patch.
Yep. Oof. But fucking... And here's to say, and we can easily segue into Ubisoft because I really don't know how much time you guys want to spend on Square.
No,
I
but
only have
literally
two. I only have two.
Yeah, go ahead.
I have two notes for Ubisoft when we get to them.
Okay.
Oh,
We'll
okay.
go right into Ubisoft then, or I'll let you guys give closing notes for Square. But all I have to say is, so Bethesda fucks up, but they make it good with some patches. They're like, hey, we pushed this out. Everybody knows our games are broken at launch. That's just the fucking way it is. Todd Howard even joked about it. I think he joked about it. Either that or he was being facetious, and he should go fuck himself because all their games are busted at fucking launch. I don't give a shit.
And we still play them.
And we totally still play them.
Yeah, we do.
Yeah, we absolutely do. And Square is really good at fucking taking their time, pushing out these games, and still disappointing us. And that really is disheartening. But I have to say, both of those companies do it better than Ubisoft, where they consistently put out broken, unplayable, disappointing games. If they
And
are
never
not all,
fix
if they're
them.
not all three of those things, they are certainly one of those permanently.
All right, Ubisoft, fuck off with this rabbit shit, first off.
All right.
That's probably the only IP they have. That's
First
worth
off,
a shit.
Mario Rabbids, like, I'll let you borrow the game. It's actually really
Yeah.
fucking good.
That
it is a
IP
really good. I understand the hatred of Rabbids because they are on the level of Minions. I still laugh at them because of the stupidity of the characters ever existing. But that game is solid as fuck.
I agree. Absolutely. It's one of
because
those
they're
don't
under
judge it by
Nintendo's
its-
thumb
Yeah.
to be
Yeah.
like, hey, no, you have to make a good. Like, if you're gonna take our IP, you're gonna have to make a fucking good game.
It is one of those games that like you stated, has to be good. But they've really shown off their developer chops with. And it is a don't judge a book by its cover.
Yeah.
What is playing music?
Sounds like Nikki.
Oh, okay.
Assassin's Creed, speaking of iteration versus innovation, it's a reskin of Origins, and it looks like the same shitty fucking bullshit we've been playing for years.
Dude, they showed off a mission where you were like
it's a fucking
following
trailing
the
mission.
mark. Yeah.
The worst. Why is this still in the game?
Yeah. It's
Ugh, fuck me.
They need to stop calling them Assassin's Creed and calling them something different. Like, to me, these games that they've been coming out recently are not Assassin's Creed games. They're open world, kind of do what you want, but do these certain missions that we build, but they don't feel like Assassin's Creed. You don't feel like an assassin. Like, you're a fucking warrior in Egypt, and now you're a fucking Spartan dude. Like, you're not.
They
actually a
haven't.
Spartan. I
They
don't know
haven't
what you
been
are in that
Assassin's
game.
Creed games
You're-
since 2.
yeah, you're a Greek hoplite. So
Sure.
So it's just I don't have anything else to
I'll
say
give
about
them
it.
credit where credit's due. Origin was definitely a lot better than some of the shit that they had put out since before that, because they added a lot of RPG elements, but ultimately it failed in the same way that every other Assassin's Creed fails. Is why am I playing this game after 10 hours?
Right.
If you're going to give me a big, large game and I'm doing the same 3 fucking missions throughout the entirety and you're making me do collectathons that have no incentivization for me to do, why am I playing your game? It's the same problem that almost all Ubisoft games have. Far Cry is a prime example. Far Cry 5's first 10 hours, fun as fuck. So good. And then you keep playing the game and you realize you have experienced nothing new.
Here's where Ubisoft does it. They learn their lesson for the first 10 hours, but ultimately they're still compiling bad games. That's the problem. So all their games are bad. It just takes you 10 hours to realize that it's not as bad as the game before because they fixed some of the stuff up to a certain point. They learned their lesson from Far Cry 4, Far Cry Primal, even Far Cry 3. They learned certain lessons, and each one is fine up to a certain point, and then you get bamboozled. 2, they learn not to stretch out that fucking series. Then you get to Assassin's Creed 3. And then that was a fucking train wreck. But they learned their lesson for the first 10 to 15 hours of Assassin's Creed 4. Assassin's Creed 4 was great. The ones after that, pretty garbagey. They seemed to learn their lesson when they came back with Origins. And then it gets garbagey. Like, that's the problem. They are really good at recycling garbage with the face of a lesson learned.
Right.
But not the spirit of it.
It's the EA quandary where they're just like, well, let's take stuff away and then reintroduce it as new features and release a game every single year, when we really should have just been taking the time and not releasing 3 sequels to fucking Assassin's Creed 2 and making Assassin's Creed 3 better than it was.
Yeah. When your expansions to 2 are better than 3, there's a problem.
Jesus Christ.
I also really...
Quality of character.
I think that...
Ezio is a good character.
Ezio, for sure, is a great character. But I think they learned not to stretch that series out. Revelations was a good indicator of that. Brotherhood was fine.
Yeah.
Ezio was great, and they learned a lot of lessons from the first one to make the second one tolerable.
Yeah, because Altair's that game was not great.
No, it was a good first concept.
Yeah.
And I will applaud them for making it.
Yeah.
But unfortunately,
Certainly.
after 4, you get no free passes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So
Let's go to...
before we go, the 2 that I'll give them, like, I'll make mention that these look interesting. Beyond Good and Evil 2.
All right.
That trailer, like, even though, again, it's just a trailer and some minimal, like, in-game engine gameplay, but not really showing you the gameplay. Like, that is the best looking trailer of E3, in my opinion. Like, as a trailer, that was the best looking thing that I saw. They know how to make a trailer, that team does. And I really like the idea of bringing Joseph Gordon-Levitt on with his Hit Record company to being like, we're going to outsource, like, help for art, music, and all that extra stuff.
You're going to crowdsource.
We're gonna crowdsource some content to put in the game to kind of build the world out, because we want you to be a part of it. You can look at it cynically and being like, yeah, that's free fucking labor. Like, I already see that twinkling in your eyes, Jared.
Yep.
But at the same time, for people who are already creating art, who are already creating music, who like Beyond Good and Evil 2 and maybe possibly want to break into this,
I see both sides of the coin.
I see this as an opportunity for people, because people's stuff who get in the game do get paid.
Yeah.
They might not get paid a lot, but they do get paid if it does end up in the game.
Here's the thing. Nobody's going to volunteer your assets into their game.
Right.
Because that's a legal battle no one will fucking win.
Yeah. You have to legitimately waive your rights for a little bit and be like, I would like to see my stuff in there. Here's what I've got.
And if we were producing anything worth half a fucking tit, I am sure that we would be trying to put it in the game for the simple sake of exposure. We've already worked for this. We're doing what we want right now. This is our labor of love. I would love to push it into a sphere where it gets more exposure, even if we don't get paid to do it. Mm-hmm. I don't care about the monetary aspect of it especially if that can just be a simple stepping stone to get me where I want to go. Yes, I do think there is an element of dishonesty on their part. Like, we know why you're crowdsourcing. Don't pat yourself on the back for it. Don't pat yourself on the back.
You either don't have the resources or money, or you are so far behind in development that you need this as a touch-up tool,
or you're out of ideas.
Yeah.
And I'm cool with that. I just don't. I really dislike it when people pat themselves on the back and try to pretend like they're doing us a favor when we're actually doing them a favor.
They did add to me though. They did add legitimacy by having Hit Record and the creator of that, Joseph Gordon-Levitt, who has developed that tool and that community to where people collaborate, people pay each other, people work together on projects. So there is like an element of legitimacy to it, but again, you are totally right in being cynical and looking at it from the flip side of the coin.
I mean, like I said, I totally see both sides of the coin. So long as they don't seem to be patting themselves on the back terribly hard. They seem to just be avoiding that conversation altogether. Instead of trying to like take a claim at it and being like, you guys should be applauding us for doing this. We're real stand-up guys. And instead of just doing that, they're avoiding that conversation, which is probably the best thing that they could do in this situation. So
that one I thought was an interesting way of like, it's an interesting way of developing, and we may see more of that coming down the pipeline in the future from other games. I don't know. It depends on how this goes. And honestly, like, I loved Beyond Good and Evil 1 enough to where it's like the fact that they're even making it to after it being in limbo for years. Like, I'm glad that they're still sticking to their guns and saying that they're going to do it. And again, I thought that trailer was the best trailer of E3 in my opinion. The second game that piqued my interest, and I'm going to keep tabs on it now, is Transference, which was the game that Elijah Wood's film company is backing and like helping develop. Just because, any sort of horror, trippy ass, like story driven game, I'm all about that.
Which one? I'm sorry.
It's called Transference.
Okay.
They didn't really show off too much
catch.
aside from like a couple of gameplay snippets and some like actual FMVs in the game where they're going to have like real acting in it and kind of cross the line and subvert like what can be done in a game.
Right.
So it's at least at the very least on my radar now. So and that looks like take a risk, make something different. I'm totally for it and I'm down for it.
Yeah.
I'm game as well.
So that's all I got for Ubisoft. I thought Ubisoft was pretty. I won't say it was abysmal, but it was pretty meh.
I didn't.
They're supporting the right games by making another Division because the Division is seeing a resurgence after their latest patches. They're making the right choices with that. Suffice to your opinion of Rabbids, Mario and Rabbids is a solid game, and I'm glad they're doing more support for it with an extra DLC story. And those two games specifically are the ones that I'm looking forward to: Transference and Beyond Good and Evil 2.
Yeah, Squeenix and Ubisoft. I didn't watch.
Squeenix was like, to me, it was a why did you exist if all
pointless.
if all of your main titles that are going to be hot sellers being presented somewhere else, save your money and don't even have a presentation.
I thought they shouldn't even. I think they showed up as a formality.
Yeah.
But I think they showed up as prepared as they wanted to be.
And it showed.
I said, I legitimately believe that when it comes to the Eastern markets and their respect for the Western markets, we're seeing it in action. Exactly how much Squeenix gives a fuck.
GDC will be a better indicator of whatever Squeenix is working on. Sony. Okay, let's address that elephant real quick. Why in the fuck would you start with a banger, right? You start off with an absolute banger of a gameplay trailer and that little musical interlude with the composer and everything, and then make us wait 45 minutes for people to change venues.
It wasn't that long, it was a good 15, 20 minutes. It was a very jarring 15 minutes where then we had to listen to pundits who work for Sony talk about other things that were not actually going to be in the presentation.
They were trying to make up for time because they didn't think it would take that fucking long.
Yeah.
They were stumbling
all
over the fucking place. And that set the precedent for the rest of the fucking conference.
A level of unpredictability of how long it was going to take to get that crowd over there.
Right.
So they had enough to fill maybe 10 minutes, and then it took longer than 10 minutes.
Right.
So the fact that they even did it under 15 minutes is great from a logistical standpoint, I don't care what type of artistic
Don't do it again.
what type of artistic like motion or like emphasis you're trying to do by having people in this church barn like environment to fill in the room and make this trailer feel like it's going to mean more.
Please.
That to me, that's going past having live performances. Now you're getting into the realm of like, now you are not thinking about the millions of people who are watching this live.
Yeah.
And you are only caring about the people in the room.
But instead of filling the time with like that pan flute solo that went on for honestly a little bit too long, they could have filled that space with this musical interlude, but instead they waited for everybody to get seated and then started the 7.5 minute musical.
They could have done the talking for 10 minutes and then gone over to the musical performance. The musician could have known that he may have to extend his piece by another minute or two.
They could have
They could have logistically. They could have just
real-
not fucking done that.
They could have had
and
a
they could have
real.
just opened with a fucking banger, and everybody would have went fucking nuts. Everybody was like, "This is the best."
They could have had a real plan for a longer period of time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Instead, it looked ill prepared. So
They could have realistically had a pre-show where they just announced and revealed that, and then began their conference at a set time. So that way they're not waiting for everybody to get in their fucking seats. You guys showed up 30 minutes early to watch the banger in this awesome place or whatever, the tent setup that they had right outside. And then you have to figure out logistically on your own. They're not fucking responsible for you and your fucking seat, how to get there. And then they start off again with the banger for everybody online. They could have done that. Personally, I think that this is probably even worse because I really don't care that much for Last of Us. I like the multiplayer more than I like the story player.
That's where me and Dan are going to highly disagree with you.
I know
That's
you
totally
are.
fine.
Let's get there. Let's go over the little stuff first.
Well, that's
I think
sure, but this isn't going to be a debate. Like,
I mean, that's
I'm not
fine.
gonna. I don't care. You guys like it, cool. That's great.
So God of War New Game Plus, great. Thank you. Destiny 2, okay.
I mean, I'm excited for that. But again, that was one of those, they did their own stream a week and a half prior to
Right.
E3 where they had a big reveal about what the expansion is going to be story-wise, gameplay-wise, their year-long plan for the game going into next year. You don't even really have to mention anything anymore. Like, Destiny should not even really be a topic of conversation unless Bungie said, we need to present at E3.
I really think that console exclusive should be the only thing other than console and market demand and the actual plans for each console developer. I think that should be the only thing announced for each like major console company. And all the developers should be the only people announcing what they're actively working on. Sony should not be announcing anybody else's product other than their own. They should have been like, this is The Last of Us. Let's talk about The Last of Us. This is what has gone into the project so far. This is our project dates. Just even a year is fine. They don't need to tell me when exactly it's coming out, right? Talk about it. Explain it. It's your fucking product.
I actually think
Immerse us in your product.
I think that's actually what they did. And like
Like, Destiny is not theirs. Destiny is Activision.
well,
right, that's
I'm
the
not-
thing. Don't
Right,
announce.
but-
Don't
but
talk about Destiny. Let
Sony
Activision handle that.
Sony does get exclusive stuff for Destiny because they paid for it. Like, they get exclusive stuff every time an expansion
fair.
comes out, but they didn't talk about that.
A footnote of that would be more preferable than explaining what Destiny has already explained to me.
Yep.
I don't care
That I agree.
to hear something twice. I care. I paid money to show up to watch you give me a fucking dog and pony show. I do not want a fucking rat and mouse show. That's what you're fucking doing when you're bringing out all the other shit I've already fucking seen. It's what you're doing when you try these stupid fucking antics instead of give me the electronic entertainment that I showed up at this expo for. The Peruvian pan flute band is not electronic, nor is it entertaining. Why is it at my expo? I don't get it.
Okay, so Neo 2, tiny teaser trailer. Glad it's coming.
I'm surprised on how fast it's coming.
Same.
That's
Because
cool.
that game just came out last year.
Yeah, I thought
That was
gonna
February
sit
of
on
last year that
Yeah.
that game came out.
I didn't think it.
They've been working on Neo 2 since before the fucking thing released.
I didn't
Clearly.
I
Yeah.
didn't think that it did so well that they wanted. I
No,
figured
it
they
did.
would put that on.
It did do well.
I know it did well, but I didn't think it did so well that they were gonna Assassin's Creed it and be like, we need one out. Fucking 13 months after initial release of the first one.
See. Control looks really cool.
I
Some
took
fun
no notes on that.
Some fun dynamics with the combat. There's not a whole lot to talk about. It's just like you're telekinetic and it's kind of a trippy game. I think that looks fun to me.
They already did it. It's called Quantum Break, and it's pretty good.
All right.
That's my only note for it. Is that great? They're going multi-platform again, and they are sticking to their guns of what they know, which is crazy, trippy, third-person action shootery games. Because they have been making games since Max Payne, like the original 2 Max Paynes. And I'm glad that they're still making games, but I didn't see enough to be like, why is this different from Quantum Break? Quantum Break already did this.
Yeah.
maybe
It
it's
already did all this trippy shit. I already played it. I liked the game a lot, but nothing about that game enticed me to be like, yeah, I want to see what they got going on next.
I mean, there might be a spiritual successor.
it might be
a sequel.
It might be, and I will.
We don't know.
I will give it plenty of benefit of the doubt, and I will follow its trajectory until it finally releases. But to me, it was just like I felt like I already played that game.
Did it make you want to go back and play Quantum Break?
No.
Okay. And following the game's release, I imagine it won't evoke you to pick it up. If you did feel like you were in the mood, would you try out a new game, or would you just re-download and play Quantum Break?
I would probably play it because regardless of me having the feeling of it being too similar to what we already had, then you have to remember most of the games that we play nowadays are sequels and are iterative and derivative of what they've come from. So I think because it's separated enough, I think in my mind that when it comes out, I probably will try it for sure. But it might not be like, it's not a day one purchase for me, I don't think.
Yeah.
Unless it, blows the fucking lid off.
Right. That's totally
Which it might.
understandable.
It might.
Yeah.
It totally might. Remedy is clearly capable of that. They have a decent track record. But nothing about that really truly excited me.
Twin Mirror from the Life is Strange development team. Life is Strange is a big media darling right now. And Twin Mirror looks fucking cool.
I don't have any notes for that one.
We did not see a whole lot. It was barely a revealed trailer. I think maybe 30 seconds.
Sure.
But it's kind of a schizophrenia-based adventure / story-based game. So it looks really cool.
They have another game coming out that's in the Life is Strange universe. What is that called? It's like the Adventures of Captain something.
Yeah.
Where you play as like a kid and like the game is based in his imagination. Like it actually looks kind of interesting and it's free. Like it's just a free game that they're just releasing in between the Life is Strange chapters. But I was never really a fan of Life is Strange. I never got past the first episode.
Me and Bree liked it a lot.
I never played it.
Let's see. I'll go in order, I think, of how cool I thought these were. Spider-Man.
I think Spider-Man looks pretty dope.
It looks pretty great.
I think it looks
the
really cool.
Movement was great.
I think it's going to be good to go back finally.
Yeah,
it's been a long time.
The last Insomniac game that I can recall is Sunset Overdrive, which I didn't really enjoy too much, even though there was a lot of people who did. But the one thing they got right was movement, and it looks like that's carrying over into this game. So it may not be a day one purchase, but it's definitely like, yeah, this looks like it's going to be another killer app for Sony there to bring Spider-Man back. The trailer looked pretty cool, and watching some gameplay, it looks really fun.
Yeah,
it just looks fun.
Yeah,
I like the Sinister Six angle that they're going for. They really are giving a Spider fan what they want. Let's see, Ghost of Tsushima
looks good.
That was my first real jaw drop. as far as graphics went was when they went out into the field of grain and riding the horse through that, and then just the lighting, the presentation, the aesthetics.
The battle with that woman at the end, like the camera angles and the way the scene was like basically like set up and blocked off, having like leaves fall from the tree and the sun's coming down with the sunset and the clashing of the steel. Like, I don't know what the game is gonna play like, but it just looks it looks fucking great. It looks like another hit potentially on their hands.
Yeah, it looks so good.
And Sucker Punch is good. The Infamous games I really enjoyed. I liked both of them. I think it'll be good. I don't really have much else to say about that one.
No,
It's just
I think it's gonna be.
it's kind of one.
Looks good. It's worth following.
Yeah.
Yeah. Death Stranding.
What the fuck did we watch?
It's cool though. Like
This is the Norman Reedus Kojima
Yeah.
bullshit baby game.
Yeah. Like what the fuck is even going on? But it looks like a true original idea, and that's what's exciting.
100% with you there.
But the gameplay they showed off was a fucking walking simulator.
It was a mess.
That's the only thing about it that I'm like, what is this? Like, give me more information about the game.
I honestly think that a large portion of the game is going to be walking and dialogue.
I think it's gonna be it's gonna be a novella presented via gameplay.
Right.
And I think it will be effective because he's really trying to make a statement, and I think it's gonna be artsy and really interesting to see what he comes up with. As long as it makes more sense than fucking Metal Gear Solid, I'm okay.
It probably won't, but
well, Metal Gear Solid's pretty fucking convoluted. I couldn't follow Metal Gear.
Yeah.
I don't play it for that reason.
Well, Metal Gear is a solid gameplay and then some weird convoluted shit from over here.
Right.
That doesn't make any sense. If you're going into this it's more of like a Heavy Rain where there's not like a whole lot of gameplay, but you're being told a story. I think that's going to be effective. I'm going to buy it. Because that's my niche.
Yeah.
But
I mean, it's Kojima. It's one of those that even if you don't enjoy it or appreciate it, you have to experience it.
I am looking forward to it. I feel like a lot of the hype around it came out when he released the last trailer, which I liked Funhouse's breakdown of it.
I don't think I watched their breakdown.
It's pretty good. It's basically just Adam, Bruce. Actually, I think it's the four main dudes: Adam, Bruce, Lawrence, and James. And they had some pretty interesting. I mean, Adam really drove it alongside Lawrence, though, in terms of like what they actually thought was happening, where the water is actually without the baby attached to you. Water on the planet basically makes you age.
What I understand is the creatures that we see in the new trailer is like those creatures, if they find you and touch you, they age you. So that's why when he's in danger of going out and being touched by them, he plugs his baby in, because my theory is that baby is a clone of Norman. Yeah. So if he dies, the baby ages to his current
and he can continue to do what he needs to do.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So that's his survival mechanism in this weird world that we know nothing about, where monsters can age you instantly.
How fucking crazy is it that it's worth exploring a world, in which a creature instantly touches you and you die of old age, or that creatures would kill you anyways? Like that would not be a place that humans are like, let's explore this more. A, and B, there's no fucking way in shit that any human would be like, yeah, I'm okay with dying. It's cool. I've got a little clone of me that will just take over in the event that I perish. Nobody's like, yeah, it's cool. Let me fucking die. Ever. Like, that's not a piece of the human condition that we are just trained to accept. So if that's the case, it'll be very unique to see the mindset of the actors. No, I'm not going to say characters. I'm going to say actors that we have in the novella that he displays. So I'm interested to see if this is actually something that is just a story, or if this is something that he actually can link to the human condition based on what we just discussed.
Yeah. So I think there's going to be a lot to watch for Death Stranding going forward for sure. Let's do Last of Us before the other thing.
No, we can do Last of Us last because that was their big thing.
But that was their big banger, and I thought that the combat was very visceral. The gameplay looks great. It's even smoother than the last one.
I don't think that was gameplay.
Oh, that was absolutely
that was 100% gameplay.
That was gameplay.
I don't think so. I've actually heard from multiple sources that it was not. It was scripted gameplay, which means the engine is doing all of the work for them. No players were involved, which means they can put more stuff in it. They can show it off more. They can put more crisp and fresh and edge on it. They can do certain things that you're just not going to experience.
But given the track record
entirety
of the game, I don't know that it's outside the realm of possibility that was gameplay.
If it was, I don't know. Sure, I guess. I'm going to play devil's advocate because I've heard from multiple sources that it's not pure gameplay. It is a scripted event that they put together.
I mean,
they did it with the first one too. That first gameplay trailer was a scripted trailer.
Yeah,
and I don't think there's anything wrong with having a scripted trailer.
No. But you show off what you want to show off in the event that you want to show off.
Yeah,
like you set up the hurdles. And so in a normal progression of a game, the reason why you do scripted events is because in a scripted event, you can go hurdle, 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 hurdle. You can just keep jumping for the audience and showing off these little things everywhere that you've put in the game to show off everything that you have to present itself. But in the real game, it's like hurdle, hurdle. You jump, but there's, you might even go hurdle, hurdle, hurdle. But in a scripted event where they can show off the engine, they're benchmarking it. And you're not necessarily going to even experience that once to a certain degree that they can show it off as. That's my only point, is I'm not as excited when they do shit like that. I still think The Last of Us is a cool franchise, even if I don't like it personally. I think it's great. I think the multiplayer is great. I might even pick it up for the multiplayer alone if it's a bit similar to the multiplayer from the first one. Mm-hmm. I think the multiplayer for Last of Us is incredibly underrated, and that it really deserves its own kind of, I don't know. I think that it deserves a strong community and a strong following. So I'm certainly not like just trying to shit on it because I didn't like the story mode. I got enough gameplay. I got like halfway through it and I was just like, I feel like I don't know. It just felt not great after a while. Felt like I was doing the same things. I got bored. I wasn't interested enough in the story because it was predictable to go through the gameplay. I had the same problem in BioShock 2, admittedly. I have like picked that game up, gotten 3/4 of the way through, known exactly what's going to fucking happen, and just be like, I am super fucking bored. I can't power through.
So I think that it's still going to be real good. Naughty Dog is probably my favorite developer that ended up being first party. I don't disagree that parts of it were a grind, but I don't know. I love them wholeheartedly.
I think it's a good game. It's just I didn't like it. That's where I leave it. Yep.
So we'll leave The Last of Us because we know what to expect from The Last of Us, right? I mean,
yeah,
it is what it is. Looks like a whole lot more
Scripted or
human
not,
on human.
It's impressive for
it's
sure.
It's still very impressive what their engine can do.
Yep.
And honestly, when I think of like what Uncharted 4 was comparatively to Uncharted 1 through 3, there was a lot of minute little details, kind of like the Last of Us trailer showed off, that does happen in the game. But like you said, maybe it just doesn't happen subsequently, like in these types of orders for you to experience, but they might be there.
Absolutely.
Like, I think it's wrong
you will
to say
experience it.
It's wrong to say that like these certain reactions can't happen.
Yeah.
But we can say that, okay, they clearly built this scenario so that way it shows everything off
Right.
in one swoop.
Yeah, I'm not arguing that at all. It's totally possible that you could make all of these events happen. I just think that it's highly unlikely if this is scripted gameplay that they wouldn't benchmark the shit out of it and show off every little fucking piece of it. And therefore, if it is scripted, there is a level of expectation that I think players need to taper and realize that not everything is going to fall the same way, but they will also have their own unique experiences when they play, where
Right.
you will be able to experience those awesome details.
Right.
And I think if it's in a slower, if it happens not so, if it all happens all at once, it becomes overwhelming and boring. If you keep finding it and you keep trickling it in, then it keeps the game interesting. It keeps it fresh. I think that might be even better for the layman, anyways.
Well, the Last of Us was a game that breathed anyway, so it needed that tension and release, and I think it mastered it. So yeah, now I'm coming around on it. Yeah, I mean, there was a scene where Ellie ends up under the car and there's a gun there. Of course there's a gun there because we need to show off the reactions of shooting the person in the face and then they take a little while to fall down. Or, just a bunch of different stuff. So yeah, they did they did script a scenario for it. But The Last of Us, we know a lot of that stuff can happen. It just won't happen as quickly because you will have more of that tension, that brooding, that like dread.
Yeah,
that happens in the game.
I have no fears that it will be a solid game. I don't know if it will live up to all of the expectation. I hope it does. I know graphically it will. I know it's beautiful. I know it fucking looks like a masterpiece. It feels like a masterpiece. It breathes, as you said, like a masterpiece. So I'm interested to see if it fucks up or not. Because it totally could.
Good.
The story could turn around and just fucking eat a giant turd sandwich. We have seen it before.
Speaking of dread and fear, Resident Evil 2.
To the game of the century.
The only one you wanted to talk about all night.
No, there was plenty I wanted to talk about, but obviously you guys know me and my love of Resident Evil. All I wanted was an announcement trailer. They gave us 2 announcement trailers. They gave us gameplay. They showed us so much of what they've been working on, and it's coming out in 6 months. I am so excited to a point where I should not be excited. I should not be this excited because it only ends in disappointment. But everything that I saw of that game, from the trailers to the gameplay presentations to they literally brought well-known Resident Evil streamers and they're like, come out to E3 and play our fucking game and tell the world what you think. And every single one of them walked away saying, this is what we fucking want. This is going to be a good remake. They already did it once with the first one. They remade the shit out of that one, and it's vastly superior than the original.
Definitely.
In every facet of the imagination, from the story presentation to the graphics to the gameplay to the puzzles to everything. And it just looks like they're going to do it again on an even bigger scale. I am so fucking stoked that this is a thing, that they're doing it right, and it's coming out real soon. So I'll let you talk about more of your thoughts because I still got plenty more.
Resident Evil 2, my personal favorite of the franchise. As great as 4 is God tier. Resident Evil 2 is my first love. I remember renting that game from Blockbuster repeatedly before we actually bought one, because I played through the Claire first, and then I did the Leon.
Did it backwards, but it's okay.
It's all right. And what a game. What a fucking game that was. And this looks like it not only builds on the existing game, but they changed the RPD layout. They have added features. The gore level is amazing. Chris was just telling me earlier, the physics of the firearms, when you shoot a zombie in the face with a shotgun, it peels the fucking skin off. It doesn't just blow a piece of them off. There's layers.
Oh, it can blow pieces of their head off. It's just every shot has an equal reaction. It's no longer like, okay, you hit them in the shoulder and a little red dot shows up. Congratulations, you hit them.
Right.
You see the damage persistently. So if you get a good headshot off with a shotgun, you can literally, God, there's a fucking movie that I was going to bring up and I forgot, where you literally mushroom cloud their head and it just splits off and you can see the chunks on the ground, the blood spatters everywhere. Or if you don't get a good shot off, you just peel parts of their face off and it doesn't come back. It doesn't regenerate or anything.
Right.
So you viscerally see the damage that you are inflicting on your enemies, even with a handgun. They shot a zombie in the eye. The eye is no longer there. It is gone, and it is gone for good. Like, that is such a great detail to build on the engine that they have, that it's exciting to see like what types of things can end up with other creatures too, because they only showed off zombies. They didn't show off like lickers or
all they did was show him in the gameplay, or not the gameplay, the teaser.
yeah, they teased him
saw the
similarly
lickers, and I was
to in the original, where like a liquor like kind of
Runs up the
trickles
wall.
by a window,
Yeah.
but not in the same location, because you have to have some sort of element of surprise. I'm really interested to see what, like, if they decide to add creatures to this game too.
Right.
Oh yeah, that's what Bree said. She was watching it and she's like, "Are they gonna add like some of the new like crazy psycho creatures from 7 or like
So
some
that's-
other things?"
That's a concern of mine when you're describing all of this, the zombie that was shot in the eye, the zombie died, right?
No.
Okay, so in Resident Evil, the zombies, we'll put quotes around it because it doesn't sound like they're actually zombies. When they're hit in the brain, they don't necessarily just die.
It depends. So the way the old games work was you either pumped enough damage into them and they fall, and you see
Right.
you see the tell sign that they died. You see a pool of blood kind of disperse on the ground, or you get a headshot, blow their head off. They're not coming back. Period.
Right.
In this, they showed that even if you blow massive chunks off of these dudes, including their head, like unless they're completely decapitated, they will eventually get back up.
Interesting.
And that was a nice little touch to kind of add to the element of survival and
Right.
horror, which are elements that are kind of missing or like not really taken to the level that they need to be taken, because they blew off half a guy's face off, and like literally only this half was still remaining, and it was kind of like hanging off and drooping and shit. They go back to that room like 3 minutes later, he's fucking up and walking around. So all of a sudden, now you have to start considering like item resources.
Right.
Yeah.
You have to start considering like, is it even worth it to fire at this guy initially? Should I try to take him down again? Like, it's adding all these extra elements that I'm so glad that they like paid attention to, and were like, these are the things that we need to focus on. It looks like a perfect marriage of what made Resident Evil 2 good, but what needs to happen in order for it to exist and have purpose now. Because a game, like if they had just slapped some good graphics on it and gave it their seal of approval and pushed it out,
Looking
game
at you,
like that-
Square.
game like that would not work in today's age.
Right.
Tank controls
100%
with fixed
agree.
camera
Yeah.
angles, and even
Sounds
though
like they're putting an emphasis on survival, putting an emphasis on horror, going back to the basics. I mean, these are all good things to revise, revisit, learn from, push back out. I mean, I'm excited for you guys. I personally have not given Resident Evil a shot since I was like 7 and played the first one.
Yeah.
And was like, nope, I'm good.
I understand that it
Hit
is
the power button,
it's-
going away.
It's a series that
I like
while,
scary games,
while
though.
very popular, like it
Yeah.
is decently popular. It's not mainstream to the sense that like your neighbors have played it too.
Right.
Right.
So my level for excitement for this obviously is through the roof, and I have to understand that there are people who just don't like Resident Evil games, or they look at this remake and they're like, why do they not have tank controls? Why is it not fixed camera angles? Why do they not have this item? Why do they not have that item?
Because it's a reimagining more than
Yeah,
a remake.
it's-
I
I
think that a reimagining is so much more of a work of art than it is anything else. So like I said, I'm excited for you guys.
I think
I'm
we'll have to do
glad-
a thing.
Yeah.
Like we'll have to like get together.
Actually get together and play it.
and play it. with the lights off. And
We need to
fucking-
get Eugene back for it. Yeah.
Yeah,
Like
obviously.
I like
there
scary
is a plan
games.
to stream that. There is a plan to do videos on it. There is,
I'm
like,
sure.
I want to go back and play the original one right
Right.
before it comes out and
Yeah.
do like maybe something on that too.
Speaking of, all I want is you remember in the Umbrella Lab when Claire's track you first get the Magnum, and you can line like 5 zombies up and you can headshot through a row of them.
Yeah.
As long as that's still possible, I'm good.
And the trailer, this was a well-cut trailer because they showed everything that you need to see. You need to see the updated graphics. You need to see the new Raccoon Police Department. You need to see the mainstay enemies that you know from that, from like the Liquor. You see Mr. X in the trailer. You see fucking Birkin like hulking out and killing X.
Yeah.
Like they give you everything that you need to know to be like, yep, that's fucking Resident Evil 2. But
Sherry, Claire.
yeah, you see you see every character that's
Hung
you,
and Tofu.
you see they're bringing those modes back. They said that there is going to be a hunk mode, there's going to be a tofu mode.
I do have to say, out of
There's
all
gonna
the
be-
Resident Evils, Resident Evil 2 was definitely my favorite in the movie franchise.
Didn't that one have Nemesis or like whatever
don't-
that clown suit was of Nemesis?
I don't know if it was. Yeah,
watched it.
He had like
I watched the
chain
first 3.
guns and the rocket launchers.
Yeah.
I unfortunately watched 4 of them. I think.
I watched the first 3.
But
The
I mean,
first one I actually kind of enjoyed for
The-
what it was.
the first one, I don't think I enjoyed the first one very much, to be honest. I was like, all right, I guess.
I said this isn't Resident Evil,
Well, of
but it was
course.
fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Give
the
it
second
any-
one, the second one was entertaining because it was fucking hilarious.
Yeah, it's
the
hilariously
whole
bad.
time.
Yeah.
Like the pimp with the golden guns.
Yeah.
Like
Oh man.
Like,
Capcom,
yes, that
what
movie
do you-
is-
What did you do?
that they knew exactly where to take that movie, and then forgot immediately after it came out.
It's
Oh fuck! What do we do?
I've tried nothing and we're all out of ideas.
Yeah.
Yep.
So huge hype. Resident Evil 2 game of show.
Yeah, obviously my game of show. Do you?
Let's go to Nintendo.
Yeah,
I
we
think.
still got Nintendo.
Yeah.
So let's
we can breeze through Nintendo.
yeah. There's not a whole lot going on
we-
Nintendo except
let's-
for the magic.
Well, no, there's plenty. First of all,
There.
I gave them a B. I like them a lot.
Proud of you.
I don't typically give Nintendo any free passes, and typically scrutinize them pretty harshly. I really enjoyed what they put together this year. I think they did a very solid job. I think we should start from the back and work our way forwards, and start with Smash.
Yep, because that was their big announcement. They
I
have.
think they spent too much time on it.
I don't. I think they spent just as much time as they needed to spend on it because the last 2 years they've come with one game and they've had other
agree.
titles, but they've come with one game. When the Switch was just about to come out, here's fucking Zelda.
Yep.
Here's everything you need to know about Zelda. This is going to be the game that's going to get you in. Here's everything that you're going to do. Here's everything that you're going to see. Here's how the game is going to play. Here's all the changes we made. Then next year, it was Odyssey. Odyssey was
Right.
the same way. They spent 20 minutes on Odyssey and was like, this is our new fucking Mario game.
It was certainly informative. The difference is, okay, the information that I am able to absorb about Odyssey and Zelda is very different than the information that they were showing off for Smash. They were going through like each character's like shoelace colors and how they changed. Like they really got into
Okay.
the like
Yeah.
every nitty gritty detail.
The
that they
minutia.
have.
But
Yeah.
that's kind of what Smash fans want is not
I'm a
necessarily
Smash fan and I don't ever want to fucking give a shit about the Ice Climbers shoelace colors.
right. I'm speaking more towards like the changes that they're doing for the characters, what new characters they're introducing, all that stuff.
I'm
'Cause
totally
they,
cool.
They spent a lot of time on being like the full rosters here.
Right.
Here are what we like to call echo characters, which are similar characters that have minor differences, but they're ultimately the same character.
Calling them what they are.
Yeah,
Fucking
they
clones.
understand
Clones,
that
yeah.
they are clones. They talk about all of the minute changes to the gameplay, like if you dodge too many times, like your
That was
ability
cool.
to get
Yeah.
hit is increased. Shields change. You can dash midair.
Oh yeah,
Like
there's
air
plenty
dodge.
of
Yeah.
very good stuff that they went into. A lot of good stuff for a lot of the Smash players who are out there. Especially, I mean, there's not just the dodge thing, which I think was imperative for them to announce, but also the stage announcements.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they're gonna have competitive stages and their own little fun Nintendo stages. You know, each stage will be set up for you and your friends. I mean, I think it's and however you and your friends want to play. So I meant to finish that sentence. I think, I mean, yes, it's going to be good for sure. I just think that they could have cleaned up the presentation a little bit and streamlined it. I think they really suffered from digging into the minutia a little bit.
I think what they did was something very similar to how they did Brawl and Smash 4, where they had the dedicated website where they leaked you trailer after trailer after trailer, character trailer, item
Yeah.
trailer, blah, blah, blah. But here they condensed it.
Yeah.
I didn't think that it was overly long because I just rewatched it because Bree was, conked out or whatever. And I was like, hey, check this out. And it was like 25 minutes of like all the minutia and the tech details.
I felt like it was about 5 minutes too long. I'm good with 20 minutes. I'm cool with them getting into the nitty gritty. I'm cool with them. I'm cool with 20 minutes on a game. But 20 minutes is like my attention span. If you cannot make your point in 20 minutes, like, I'm good. I get it. You have a game. You're excited. Great.
the part that I didn't really need was the incredibly awkward Treehouse Live, where you had the main guy who had to speak in both English and Japanese because it was
Yes.
direct also to Japan at the same time. And like instead of having Sakurai there with his translator, you had two American dudes with a translator with another translator with Sakurai, and he had to repeat every single thing they said, and it was incredibly
it was weird
awkward.
that they were there with other people, with translators, but it was one dude who was talking in English and then would say his own line again in Japanese.
Yes.
That was funny to me. Like as if he forgot his Japanese for whatever reason, the guy next to him would start talking and saying it. Like I just thought it was very funny. But yes, I agree. They really lost a lot of time in some of those events, but for the most part, it was very crisp presentation. I felt like it was just very snappy. It was
Yep.
very quick. They didn't have any interludes, didn't have any breaks. They weren't fucking around. I think that's what caught me off guard when we went to Smash and spent 25 minutes there. The extra few minutes is probably, me being used to the rest of their performance so far. And admittedly, they probably set it up so that way they could expand so much on Smash. But I mean, they announced a lot of games this year that just fucking finally made me happy that I bought a Switch. So, I mean, do you guys have any closing thoughts on, in particular, Smash?
On Smash, Ridley, big
Yeah.
addition.
Finally
to
going
the
into
roster.
the meme. They even
Yeah.
gave him the taunt where she stands tall.
Yep.
Yep.
I'm
And-
like, they bought into it. That's
and,
great.
And Sakurai just had that look on his face, even in the fucking recording, where he's just like, "Don't ask me for anything ever again."
This really feels like this might be the last Smash for a while.
I think so too. The fact
with
that
the
it's
way
named
that they're
Ultimate.
yeah, the way first off it's named Ultimate, second off they brought every single character back. I think they're looking at this as like the long-term solution of like we're going to support this game for like 2 to 3 years and we're going to
Yeah.
constantly pump out DLC, new characters, new stages, new items and stuff like that.
I think this is a smart business move for them.
Yeah, because I think expecting a brand new Smash every couple of years is unrealistic. So getting a good core game down with every character, with every stage, and then just building upon that is probably just smarter for them in the long run.
Yep.
Which, again, like there's people who think that this is like a port. This is not a port. This is a new game. This is a new build
Yep.
of Smash Brothers.
It is essentially every Smash Brothers all rolled up into one way shinier, way more mechanically sound item. So I think it's going to be good.
From my perspective, I think
It was certainly overwhelming.
it plays to watch it. It plays closer on the Melee spectrum than to the Brawl or Smash 4 spectrum.
Which is where they want to be, in my opinion.
Yes, I thought Smash 4 was pretty. It felt pretty good. It was pretty balanced. I didn't have the complaints that I did about fucking Brawl.
Yeah, Brawl was my biggest thing. Was it was too floaty. It just felt too light.
Yeah, and you could like stumble when you're dashing, and it slowed the entire experience down. It was horrible decisions. But I think that being closer to Melee and like faster than Smash 4 is a huge addition. I mean, they already mentioned that every character got a speed boost.
Yep.
At this stage in balancing, and Sakurai said they're still balancing, but you know, making the entire experience faster, less input lag, just it's going to be a gamer's, it's going to be a Smash fan's Smash. And I think they know exactly what they're doing. I don't have much else to say other than it's a day one purchase.
Yep.
And I'm going to be kicking all your asses.
I'm so glad I still
shortly.
have the Wii U GameCube thing, because that's how you're going to be able to use it, is that same accessory. So
Oh, really?
Luckily, I held on to it after I sold my Wii U, because I'm like, there's no way they're going to let go of this thing. So smart move, Chris. Smart move.
I love the concept that'll never happen of the Joy-Con split GameCube controller.
No.
That would be amazing.
No, just stop. They've already
I have to
said
be
that
on
they're
Chris's
coming out with official GameCube controllers again.
Yeah. I will
I know.
pick one up.
Yeah. There will be
I'm all
one
about that.
purchased.
I like the GameCube.
It'll probably come in a
controllers.
fucking pack, to be honest, just like they did with Brawl.
They'll sell a controller and a cable for $50 or something like that.
And I will give them my money.
Might see a return.
I still have all
I will-
4 GameCube controllers.
We might
I
see
will
a
give
return of the
them-
Wavebird,
Maybe. I mean, I have a Wavebird.
but like one that is just Bluetooth to the Switch console.
Maybe. If they
That-
can reduce the input lag, it will absolutely be a thing.
Input lag will be the only trial there. So running down from the other end, Reggie is a fucking saint. We don't deserve him.
No, we don't.
Reggie's the
Like-
fucking man.
It's like bacon, Reggie, dogs.
My favorite shirt that I wish I still had, my buddy got one from Sherry years ago. That's Sherry Caswin, our local Nintendo rep for anybody. It was a shirt of Reggie holding the 2 Wii controllers.
Yeah.
And he's shirtless and like flexing.
Fucking like ripped.
Yeah.
that's-
That was one of my
that's
favorite
great.
shirts for years. It's just black with the
awesome.
white thing, and it's Reggie like, ah, like
That's awesome.
God, I'd kill for that shirt.
Yeah, that shirt sounds like a must find.
That is a mint on eBay, I'm
yeah,
sure.
I bet.
let's find it. Jared, hit us
Yep.
with some hot Nintendo facts, please.
So, Demon X Machina, what the fuck? That was like their cold open.
Yeah.
Was just this crazy, insane, weird Gundam mobile suit, fucking
Zone of the
Pat
Ender.
Labor, Zone of the Enders, fucking crazy armored core, weird coolness. Like, these mobile suits were just fighting each other and jetting around and killing each other, and then they fought these fucking... Okay, so the mobile suit's already as big as the fucking buildings. Then there's this even bigger fucking mobile suit that's like 100 times bigger than the other ones. I want to see more, but it looks really interesting from the person who is into like Armored Core and Gundam and all those other crazy games.
I don't really
like
have
the
I don't
ridiculous.
really have much to say about it, except it's like that. Yeah, it's pretty good.
it's $10 on eBay, boys.
Nice. It
Looks like I'm gonna buy a new shirt.
it reminds me of that Leo DiCaprio meme. It's just like you had my interest, but now you have my attention, or some bullshit
Right.
like that. That's how I felt with that cold opening.
Yeah. It was.
It's
I
just like,
thought it was.
huh?
Yeah.
What is this, and why do I want to know more?
It was a good thing for Nintendo to open up with because it was very punchy. It looked crisp. It looked very cool. I doubt any of its actual gameplay. I'm 100% sure it's not. But who fucking cares? Let's get down to some real fucking cool shit here. We'll start with some of the B-liners. Octopath Traveler, the turn-based RPG, coming out on Switch. Looks pretty decent. They had an arcade game Killer. I think it was Killer Bees Black.
Killer Queen.
Killer Queen. That's it. Killer Queen Black. And that's been an arcade only game for a long time. So I think it's going to be an exclusive at first, but it is eventually going to be coming to all major consoles. But it was cool that Nintendo got to announce it. Like normally they're really light on their stuff. So to see them really open up this E3 has been really cool, especially when they did it with other titles like Starlink, which you can actually get the I forget what Star Fox's.
Let's have a conversation about that real quick.
Sure.
Starlink.
Starlink, excited that Nintendo, Shigeru was there. He was like, hey, check it out. Star Fox is my baby. I love this. What the fuck did they do to my R-Wing? It is ugly.
Hashtag not my R-Wing.
It is so fucking ugly.
I don't. All right, so I'm a Puritan. I think every R-Wing that has not been in the original is ugly.
My ideal R-Wing is the Star Fox 64.
I even don't like that as much as I like the SNES R-Wing. Sorry.
I mean, it's fair.
It's just
it's a
If
classic.
it's not 5 polygons, I'm out.
exactly. That's pretty much where I'm at it. Like if you asked me to draw a spaceship, it looks like this. Yep, that's it. That's my spaceship.
He's drawn an R-Wing, folks.
That's a game. I didn't even draw an R. I can't see it, but I drew a fucking diamond and 2 triangles. And that's it, boys and girls. And that's how I used to draw starships when I was a kid. So R-Wing Master. Like for me, that's where it ended. So everything is a bastardization.
That's all I have to say about Starlink. Is I'm just sad that it looks so funky.
They gotta polish it for the newer children that are going to be stepping into and growing with the franchise. And I think it is good for them to experience this so that way they can eventually go back and look at other things. We've already proven that retro gaming is not going anywhere. So I think that if anything, it will help age these newer gamers into the retro gaming fields. So they can grow up and become developers and put their R-Wings into the game. So I think it's just part of the evolution that we were discussing earlier. Dragon Ball FighterZ is finally coming. Fucking great. Of course. Then Fire Emblem. I really like what they're doing with Fire Emblem. I've only played like 2 of the games, and I thought one of them was acceptably good. But this one is really cool because instead of just being like a tactics game, you have an army with each person. Each person is a unit. So if you have an archer hero, she is actually leading an archer unit of people, which I thought was super fucking cool. And you can do new formations with your individual party members. It just looks really good. I'm really enjoying it. I have to come to grips with the expansion of the eShop, which I dislike because I like physical content for my consoles. But it looks like the physical content is still going to keep churning. They're just going to pump it out for a mint, and it's not going to go anywhere. Yeah. You're going to pay $40 to $60 if you're lucky, maybe $30, but you're never going to pay less than that, at least for the next foreseeable few years, unless the game just tanks.
Yep.
Everything else that's under $30, it makes sense to not even fucking worry about putting out the print for it and just putting it into the eShop. So I get it, but I'm also a little upset by it. I'm a bargain hunter for consoles. So, what was life?
If you need anything to borrow, between me and him, we probably got everything.
I'm sure, yeah.
Yeah.
And then, of course, I think we should talk about Super Mario Party.
Can I tell you how fucking hyped I got when I saw it is a traditional fucking Mario Party?
Oh, yeah.
None of this bullshit work together in a cart to get away from Bowser nonsense.
Yep.
No, we come in as friends, we leave as enemies.
Yeah.
That's the point of Mario Party.
It's great.
And I am glad that even though they're going to be introducing a lot of new things like new dice, new boards, new mini games and stuff like that, just bring it back to the original where it's just 4 of us trying to fuck each other over for 30 minutes.
It looks absolutely wholesome.
It looks great. It looks great.
And the fact that you can combine switches now to adjust
it's cute.
Your fucking game. Like, I wonder how many you can do that with. I mean, it's probably just 2. But fucking think about the possibilities. And I'm really excited to see what else they do with this, because this is really their first foray into the Wi-Fi connections that are available, or the Bluetooth connections that are available on the Switches. So I am so fucking excited.
Games for core gamers.
That's on Nintendo's website, by the way.
Of course it is. It's Nintendo.
But I want to know what they think are core games.
True.
Yeah, I'm incredibly excited for it. I haven't been truly excited for a Mario Party since
Seriously?
like
N64?
No, the GameCube ones are pretty good.
I didn't own
but-
a GameCube, so.
But still, to this day, Mario Party 2 is still like my absolute favorite. I
Yeah.
think that was their peak.
I can't wait to see your fucking wife tilt you into the stratosphere. in
It's
this new
going to
Mario
happen,
Party.
and it's going to strengthen our relationship wholeheartedly.
provided one of you survives.
Like I said, it will strengthen the relationship with myself. My resolve will be unwavering as I sign those divorce papers.
True.
Just
Yeah.
So everybody knows what a core gamer is. It's a core gamer that plays LA Noire, Skyrim, Ultra Street Fighter 2, Legend of Zelda, and Doom.
I mean, I've played all of those with the exception of LA Noire.
Yeah. So that's a core gamer.
played that.
I'm trying to
I've
see-
heard great things. I want to play it.
It's fun.
If I knew somebody who had it on Switch, I would borrow it. Most likely.
Trying to
But I'm
see
not
if
paying
fucking-
like $40 for a
No.
game that came out on
I
PlayStation 2.
honestly just buy it on PC when it's on sale for like $10.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's-
I've seen some of the fun that Funhouse has with it.
It's worth the playthrough, I would
Definitely.
say.
It's for sure earned its chops, and I just never was able to make time to play it back then. So,
Yeah.
and honestly, I have a whole stack of Gundam games on PlayStation 2 that I need to invest some time into after I'm done. After my beard grows another beard, and I am finished writing for Dan. So it's going to be a while. I have my work cut out for me. So.
Hell yeah.
I
Anything else that you saw that was worth mentioning? I've got a couple other things.
Nintendo did really good. I think I've hit on a lot of stuff. I talked about the expanding eShop versus the physical content, what I really think about it. I think, it's a smart move for Nintendo. They've really hit their niche, and I think keeping games at an artificial floor of $30, rarely, mostly $40, $60 area, is a good business model. It keeps companies like GameStop relevant, which unfortunately they are good for the industry. They do promote the release of games, admittedly on their own terms, but there's I think Nintendo has done a very solid job this year, and I'm excited to see what they bring out next year.
Yep. The only other ones that I wanted to bring up, even though none of us play it, Fortnite coming to Switch is a pretty big deal
It is.
because that is the biggest game of the generation right now. And that inconsequentially brought up the PlayStation debacle. I don't know if you guys read about it.
Everybody can play with everybody except PlayStation.
It's not even just that. If you have created an account on PlayStation, you cannot play your account anywhere else.
Really?
Yes, and that is not of Epic's or the company Fortnite or
Wow.
whatever. That is 100% on Sony.
Well, Sony's really it now. Okay, so look, let's put ourselves in their shoes. Let's make the
Let's
observation.
put our business caps on real quick.
It's not even that. It's not even that. Let's put on our CERT caps, which is Security Incident Response Team. We are security analysts. We have lost control of our own company several times due to the whims of other persons online gaining access to either our databases, our encryptions for our firewalls, etc. What do we do in order to keep our shop tight from now on?
You just limit access.
We hold on to the fucking keys for everything.
Yeah.
Period. Like, and I think that is probably more or less where this stems from.
Mm-hmm.
I think that Sony needs to learn how to relinquish some of these practices, and bring themselves. Look, Microsoft doesn't have these problems. Microsoft, I am sure, has a better infrastructure title than you, an infrastructure period than you, because of their roots based in software and hardware communication
Yep.
to begin with.
And they have
Sony's
been in the
not.
game for a very long time, so
Exactly.
their practices just carry over.
Their data center practices and their security practices are cutting edge. They are defining what they do today will be tomorrow's best practices. Sony needs to adapt in all ways, or unfortunately, we're going to have situations where they're facing down the public eye of scrutiny, and they can't just say every time, well, it's a security issue. It's only a security issue with you, Sony.
Yeah.
It's not a security issue with Nintendo, and they're also another Japanese company that didn't start at the same time Microsoft started. Isn't doing the same thing, didn't start in the same market as Microsoft.
I think definitely the one thing you have to do is, if you're Sony, time to cross a couple bridges and send your your people to Microsoft and to Nintendo and have a little a little Geneva Convention of how do we protect the consumer.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And what are best practices? That's why they're called best practices.
They really, unfortunately, okay. So every company that is worth its salt invests anywhere from 15 to 30% of itself in its information technology division, whatever its IT department is, whether that's offshoring, or whether they're developing it in-house. Really good companies and really bad companies usually invest like 35. I would gander that Sony is probably spending significantly less than they should, trying to get away with the bare minimum. It's not that they don't know what the best practice is or can't find it. It's most likely an unwillingness to either pursue it due to cost, or an inability to do so because they've already contracted it out. The business always hinders IT.
It's probably a little bit of both.
Yeah.
I would say that Sony, this is kind of a point that I wanted to make earlier, was Sony has always been hardware focused and always want to do the biggest, the best. We're the best gaming console, period. Microsoft pivoted and went into, we want to be your home entertainment solution. So they put Xbox Media Center on the 360 and then the One.
Right.
And we're like, we want to be your everything. And also we make great games, and it's a great gaming system. Nintendo's like, we want CAS gamers. We want, we want people who just want to have fun playing video games.
Right.
And Sony's like, we want the hardcore. And they have invested all their money into hardware development, first party development, and shit the bed completely on whatever contract they're stuck in, because clearly they have to be stuck in something. For the old PSN debacles.
There is a light at the end of the tunnel in terms of these contractual obligations. Usually they're enforced with strict penalties. So Sony might not be willing to make the switch because the business of Sony might be making more money, profiting, that is to say, off of their bad contract that they have with whoever their information technology assisted company might be. Whoever is handling it, in-house or out-of-house, there might be financial KPIs, SLAs that are being breached, and thus penalties are being paid out to Sony. Sony sees that as money right off the top, baby. Mm-hmm. And if that's the case, there may be an unwillingness for the business to comply and say it is a real issue, because unfortunately their market is quite a bit different in that it is customer driven, but it is not customer focused. Most customer driven companies are also customer focused. They don't have to answer to their participants or their constituents right away. Then they're content with just kind of sitting back and eking out their existence. And I think maybe we're seeing a little bit of that. Mm-hmm. But yeah.
Well, it's good to hear that side, to maybe kind of delve into the explanation of why things like that occur, to understand that it's not just simply Sony being stingy with their platform.
Right.
There's always more to it than that.
Yeah.
It's understandably like bad for the consumer, sure, because it's
Right.
not a good feeling to have started on PlayStation and you're like, oh, now I can take Fortnite on the go. Wait, I have to make a new account. I just paid hundreds of dollars in skins and now I can't use them. Like, it's not a good feeling, obviously, and I feel for that, but it's good. It's good to start building that understanding that these decisions don't necessarily come lightly.
Yeah.
There had to have been hundreds of meetings behind shit like that to get to a point.
I guarantee you there are some very irate, very angry, very passionate people at Sony who are trying to make it better for everybody.
Yeah,
They're trying to
absolutely.
open up the doors. But it's and unfortunately it's not always possible.
The only other game that I wanted to bring up, just because it's a main line, is Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee.
Hell yeah.
It may not be the Pokemon game I want to see, but it is a Pokemon game that I am interested in. I will play it. I think it is a perfect.
Agreed.
It's a perfect medium to have core Pokemon gamers play in Pokemon in full 3D, especially going back to the Kanto region,
Right.
saying it's only the original 150. It's not necessarily a remake of Red, Blue, and Yellow, but we're going to put you in the same world, and the characters that you know, like Red and Blue, are in the game. Like, you do see them, you do collect gym badges. It does have traditional battles, but then also understand that Pokemon Go is fucking huge, and there's a big subset of people who have never played a mainline Pokemon game before. And now you're going to bring them in with elements that Pokemon Go had.
I think it's going to be a solid blend. I'm definitely excited to pick up the Eevee version.
That's going to be the only version that's going to be in this household.
Yep.
Because there's no difference in Pokemon between the two. Once I found that out, 2 copies of Eevee are going in this household.
Yeah.
But why 2?
So I have one and Nikki has one.
Yep.
Yes, there's co-op in the game, but it only serves the purpose of whoever's playing the game.
Yeah. So I'm excited. I'm even going to pick up that Pokeball.
Yeah, it
Attachment.
looks really cool.
I might even pick up 6.
Yeah, just walk
fucking
around
be
with
a
them.
gym trainer from now on, guys.
Yeah, just 6 Mews.
So that way I can put it on my resume.
Yeah. What do you got on me, Sabrina?
Yep.
Ya bitch.
Yeah, bitch.
Yeah, bitch.
On that note, I think that's gonna wrap up our E3 roundup.
Yep.
Yeah.
Only thing you need to know, Resident Evil 2,
Game of the year.
January 25th, game of the year every year. I'm telling you right now. It's
Game of the
gonna-
year 2019, Resident Evil Part Dos. We won't even have to fucking talk about it.
No. No, I'll talk about it plenty for everybody.
We don't have to talk about it for the rest of the year. It's okay.
Nope.
We're coming.
We know.
We're coming.
We
on.
know. I know. I'm going to make you know. It's going to be great.
All right. So
guys.
thank you for joining us. We have been the MetaVillains.
It was fun doing a podcast again.
Yeah.
Even if it was like 8 hours long.
it's a marathon.
It doesn't matter.
Um,
We had a lot to.
wait,
E3
there's
was
a-
big.
E3 is
If
huge.
we had done what other companies do, where they break up 17,000 videos that are 7 minutes
yeah.
long, that's fucking annoying.
We still could have spent an hour on each
sure could have.
Yeah.
easily.
Absolutely.
So, yeah, we talked about a lot of stuff. We were happy to share all of our thoughts with you guys. Please follow the MetaVillains on Twitch, YouTube, Facebook, all the above, Twitter, and tune in tomorrow for our weekly D&D stream or rock and roll. And do we have any other parting messages?
Nope. Just hope that podcasts are going to be coming back soon in a more regular fashion. Now that my schedule is going to be freeing up, hopefully in the next 2 months. Be prepared for that. The regular MetaVillains podcast, and we do have a different type of podcast coming down the pipeline too. So if you like that stuff,
I guess technically this would be like the first episode of it.
kind of.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we'll have lots of things to talk about. You know, GDC. We've got QuakeCon coming up in a couple of months. We've got some events. You can catch the MetaVillains at Dash and Cam's birthday extravaganza, which is going to be July 19th at the 13th.
13th.
I'm sorry, July 13th. My mistake. At the Avenues Mall in Jacksonville, Florida. We will be commentating on a Dragon Ball Fighter Z tournament.
Yep.
So we will be there.
Something I'm not qualified at all to do.
Neither am I, but we're
that's
going to
when
dress
you
up
just-
and we're
That's
going
when
to
you
do
just
it.
make it fun, man.
James, the Dragon Greaser, can sub in as an honorary MetaVillain because he can actually talk about that fucking game.
True. Absolutely true.
July 28th, the MetaVillains will be at GAM. We're going to be doing stuff
Yep.
in
We're gonna be
unofficial
fucking that
and
up.
official capacities.
It's going to be rad.
Am I going to be here for that? Let's find out.
I think you said you were going to be gone.
Well, I have like a week where I'm back, so
okay.
I need to see if that's going to work out.
And then we've got past that some great stuff with partner company Critical Fit coming up. Watch the MetaVillains page. Watch Critical Fit. And past that, we've been the
Yeah.
MetaVillains. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, absolutely. Hope you guys had fun. We had a lot of fun talking, and goodbye.
See ya.
Bye.